It's Hauser. Wings Hauser. I mean, do I actually look like some tall, tan, golden boy who runs up and down the beach in slow motion in tiny, tight trunks, huh? Is that what I look like? Wrong, huh? Does this look like Pamela Anderson?
No, sir.
No, sir, what?
No, sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Hauser.
And now, our feature presentation.
I want 20% of whatever you make.
20%? Who's fucking who?
Fine. Keep 100%. Do you know what 100% of nothing is?
I know nothing. Okay, 20% done. 20% it is.
Vinny, if you fuck me on this, I'll have your balls for earrings.
Okay.
That's trash.
Hello?
Welcome to that.
Should I just say hi?
Hi, everybody. It's a podcast.
Okay. Hello, welcome to That's Cool, That's Trash, the podcast where we talk about, so fucking close. It was like muscle memory. And then you realize, I'm riding a bike. I'm riding a fuck. Okay. Hello, and welcome to That's Cool, That's Trash, the podcast where we watch a psychotronic movie online, then get together on Skype to break down the crazy. I'm Matt Howell, and I'm joined today by a council elder, Joe. Hey, Joe.
Hello.
And our friend Jack, formerly from Rogue Riffers. Hey, Jack.
How's it going, guys?
Thanks for joining us, gentlemen. So,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so stoked to be talking to you right now. You've been on a previous episode when we did the Wings Hauser month, I think 2 years ago.
Yeah.
With one of your Rogue Riffer alumni.
And his dog, if you recall.
And his dog.
Yeah.
And so folks who listen to the show know that around these parts, June is Wings Hauser month, and we celebrate all things Wings Hauser with celebration of his filmography. And it's July. But that doesn't mean that we can't celebrate him now. The reason that we're doing this in July is because I had some crazy stuff going on at work, and I didn't have a chance to do my normal 2 Wings episodes. So I knew Joe wanted to jump on. Joe appreciates Wings, and Jack expressed interest, and so here we are, finally getting to it.
Yeah. And boy, did we get to it.
We got to it hard. This time around, we're going to be watching Bedroom Eyes 2 from 1989. And it's directed by Chuck Vincent, who has an interesting kind of filmography. I don't know if you guys got a chance to check out his stuff much.
Mm-mm.
He's done some comedy stuff. He came up in the theater crowd. He kind of had legit roots. And but then he used a lot of porno thespians. He did a lot of sex comedies, like things called Puss in Boots, Dirty Lily, Jack and Jill, Misbehavin', Bordello.
Oh,
Hold on, let me guess.
Sex crimes
in the 70s?
These are late 70s, early 80s. Sex Crimes 2084 from 1985. Whoa. I didn't see that one.
In the future.
Hold on.
He's like,
you've got approximately, by my count, 63 years until that happens, so you'll have plenty of time.
Yeah. So he was
in the future. There are 2 parts of the Law and Order thing. Like chung chung. Like Sex Crimes 2084.
Yeah, just use a sex noise instead. Just something really awful.
So it says IMDb says he churned out a slew of often humorous and frequently arousing hardcore X-rated movies. Those were some of those we listed off. And it said among the popular porno thespians he regularly worked with are Veronica Hart, Samantha Fox, not the Samantha Fox you're thinking of from the music world, and Jamie Gillis. And outside of his hardcore porn fare, he also did some legitimate, in air quotes, R-rated low-budget films, such as the amusing lowbrow comedies Summer Camp, Hot T-Shirts, COD, Preppies, Hollywood Hot Tubs, which I've seen, Wimps, Sex Appeal, Slammer Girls, New York's Finest, and the horror shocker Deranged, where I think I saw. He did Warrior Queen, which I've definitely seen. But I think probably Warrior
Deranged.
Queen, Deranged, and Hollywood Hot Tubs, Bedroom Eyes 2 are probably the most most widely seen ones.
That whole filmography sounds made up, but
wait, is this the part that is legitimate in quotes Or did you just say it with like vocal?
No, it
quotes?
had. I know. I said the word air quotes, but when it's in print, it's just quotes. So he also did quote unquote legitimate R-rated low budget films.
I think that's important. That's an important distinction to make.
I'd like to talk for a sec. Can you speak on porno thespians? That's a term I've not heard till today.
Okay, so these are adult film people.
Okay,
who,
but not because thespians would
performers?
imply that they performed on the grand stage and not in front
Yes.
of a
Right, like they're
handheld
treading the
VHS camera.
like they're
all the
treading
world
the
is a
boards.
bed. You've
It's like
never
they're
heard
treading-
that Shakespeare quote?
They're treading the boards and performing Hamlet and stuff, and then like
Treading the broads.
you know,
more
like
it.
treading
All
the
the world's
broads.
a tanning bed.
Yeah.
They're treading the boobs, and they're doing like sexy Hamlet or whatever.
Sexy Hamlet.
Okay, so I think honestly, in all seriousness, that those handful of people actually did some non X-rated acting in B and exploitation films. So
Fair.
I think the thespian label, I completely understand your issue with it, but I think that it just means that they, much like in that Wings movie, Joe, we watched with what's her name? She was trying to Ginger Lynn Allen.
Right.
She actually transitioned from hardcore film to be trash and horror.
Well, and
stuff.
that I should point
Didn't
out
she
that
do some Rick Sloan movies? Wasn't she in the Vice Squad movies, Ginger Lynn Allen?
Yes, Rick Sloan's the guy that did Hobgoblins, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one I was just describing, Mind, Body, and Soul was by him also.
Oh, yeah.
But I should point out, like, to anyone younger than us, I guess, that used to at least seemingly be an almost legitimate sort of career path, was to be in adult films and be like, oh, this will be my in, and I can be a legit actress from that. And
Well, I
that
think
didn't really...
At least
didn't
that's
really
what a lot
have-
of porn producers used to tell people.
Yeah, are you joking?
But
I can't tell if you're joking or not,
what-
Joe.
No. Hold on. I'm
Who?
saying it wasn't.
How
it wasn't a
many?
legitimate. Hold on. Hold on. I'm saying it wasn't a legitimate path, but it was seen as such. People often tried to do that, whereas like actresses, adult film actresses today would be like, or actors or performers or whatever, are just gonna do that. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I don't
maybe you're
know.
gonna make it big in that industry, but most people are pretty aware that that's not your ticket to, like, you know, being
That one lady that put the
being in
baseball bat
blockbuster
inside
film.
of her, she was on that movie about the Entourage. She was in there, right?
The movie called
Legitimacy?
Entourage?
You mean
What's it?
Entourage?
Yeah, Entourage. She
You
was
say
on the
Jodeci?
show. Who is it?
Jenna Jameson?
No, more like darker hair. That's all I
Sasha
got.
Grey?
She has
Yeah,
more
that's the
darker
one.
hair.
Yeah.
Like more
Sasha
of it.
Grey is the only person I can think of in the 21st century who has had any kind of crossover into anything.
Yeah.
And any crossover she had was legitimized by Steven Soderbergh doing a sort of meta film on her. Like,
What
she
was
was
that
in a
called?
film that
The
was-
something girlfriend experience or something?
Yeah, something like that.
I didn't see that one.
me.
I just saw the Entourage and the one with the baseball bat inside. Of
Okay.
It's, I don't want to describe it too much because your audience is probably classier than the Riffers
Field of
audience.
Dreams.
A great
If you
scene
fill
with
it,
Kevin
they will
Costner.
come or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sasha
Oh, God. If you stroke it, they will come. Let's go with that one.
So we've already hit rock bottom right now.
Well, we didn't make any puns about corking the bat yet, so I don't know.
No. Wow.
I feel like we could go a little lower.
We didn't say chili dog, which I'm sure we're going to get to eventually. Just seems like it's
Sucking on chili
chain.
dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
No, and Sasha Grey also, I think whatever that Soderbergh thing is, Joe, also got spun out into a like IFC or something TV series that like Amy Seimetz like directed a bunch of episodes of. I don't know if you guys are fans of hers. I love Amy Seimetz. I think she's
I don't know
rad.
who she is.
What did she do?
She was in, you know, the guy who made Primer. His second film was called Upstream Color, and she starred in that. And she's been in a bunch of indie films. She's a director. She writes a bunch of stuff. Her last film was called She Dies Tomorrow, which came out during the pandemic. It was supposed to be at a bunch of festivals, and then it just went to VOD because of the pandemic. But yeah, she's super talented. I love her. Like one of my creative crushes.
I see now that I'm sitting with people who not only watch psychotronic type movies, but also watch legitimate movies. And you should understand that I only watch the stuff. You know what I mean? Like Getaven and the So if it's legitimate, you're just going to be talking to a wall here, Adam.
Okay, that's fine.
Keep the conversation centered around like Hyde Pike and Getaven for sure. Any Neil Breen film, I can talk with you.
Hyde
That's
Pike.
great.
Okay, fine. Oh, okay. Before I jump off, Joe, did you see the Neil Hamburger movie?
No, what?
Okay. She was in that film, and she played a person that angrily confronted him after his set one night.
Please tell me his name is Hamburger because of something having to do with. Is part of him a hamburger? Like
no,
maybe
it's
one of
it's
his
just
hands,
his. He does a character. He's a comedian named Greg Turkington, and he that's his stage name, and his stage persona is sort of this weird like flop comic, like
Angry.
Flop Sweat.
Yeah,
but his jokes will also be like legitimately funny and cringy at the same time.
Yeah,
and
for hamburger related something.
Yeah, he's a weirdo. It's a very Kaufman-esque kind of character.
Yes. I think the easiest like reference to what Joe just described is like his go-to joke that crosses as cringe, but also legitimately funny. Sorry, is like, what do you call a rhinoceros crossed with Elton John? I don't know, but keep it the hell away from my ass. Like it's all in his delivery, right? So it's just like, really hacky.
I mean, I didn't really expect him to be part hamburger, but I thought, maybe he just like always carried one or something.
Or maybe he worked.
He used to have the flowers in his pocket.
Maybe he worked at a hamburger place. Actually, Neil Hamburger is what they should have called Ronald McDonald.
Well, no, they needed to give him a silly name because he spent a lot of time with kids and nobody really knew about his background. So, if his name is just Neil,
that's more alarming to me.
If
he was
were
like Stephen Kindle, be like, oh, I guess he can be my kid. He sounds like a banker, but
no, that's
his name's Ronald McDonald.
Yeah, Ronald McDonald. He just sounds like a fun guy. Neil Hamburger sounds like somebody who probably has been banned from a few McDonald's in his lifetimes.
Ronald
sounds
in
like
the walls.
Trouble.
Oh, boy. Okay, so Wings Hauser.
So Neil Wings Hauser, yeah.
Neil Hamburger Hauser.
No, perfect segue.
Hamburger Helper. What are we doing?
I'm not going to do my typical Wings episode spiel about how I love him, what the appeal of him is, blah, 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 because I think most people listening know. So,
or don't.
If you don't, check those episodes out if you don't. So,
I think, I mean, I 100%.
Some of our most downloaded episodes, so I think people are aware.
So people get it.
Yeah,
you kind of get it.
They do. So, what? First of all, had you guys heard of Bedroom Eyes, the first one?
No.
Okay. I did watch a little bit of that, by the way.
Okay, so I was operating under like some IMDb user reviews that basically said sequel in name only, like several times, and so I watched the Bedroom Eyes 2 and was kind of like, what the fuck? And then I got halfway through the second view and I was like, okay, wait a minute. I'm just going to look up Bedroom Eyes 1. And the character names were all the same character names of the main characters. I was like, God damn it, this is a sequel. But it isn't. It isn't. I mean, I watched all of Bedroom Eyes today and it is. And you only need to know a chunk of it really to it doesn't really matter except for the main character who's a psycho is the main carryover. Most people just have the same names.
Can I ask you, is the important part that you need to know from the first Bedroom Eyes made in 1984, the first 5 minutes of the movie where the main character does the weirdest 5K that's ever been done in his life and involves cigarette smoking, parking tickets, peeping on a Christmas strip show that the lady's doing? Not really sure, but...
Stepping in dog shit.
So I assume that when you say you only need to know a chunk of it, that's the chunk.
I'm going to give Joe the 3-sentence recap in a second here.
Oh, okay.
Well, I just wanted to say I think their big mistake was calling it Bedroom Eyes 1 because that implies a sequel.
They're locked in.
Then you just go out and make Bedroom Eyes 2 and you're going to be connected,
Yeah.
So, Joe, in the first film, this guy plays Harry Ross, a stockbroker, which explains why the fuck this stockbroking thing happened at all in this movie.
Yeah.
So he jogs and he happens across, I forgot why, but he just looks in a window and sees this sexy shit happening and he's drawn to it.
There's no lead into it.
Okay. Yeah. So he gets drawn to this world of perversion and watching this woman have these erotic liaisons in this room. And then he starts seeing a psychiatrist named Alex, who is like our Alexandra in this one, but not really. And he works with a woman named Carolyn that is like a secretary or something at his firm. That's about the extent of it. But in the end, he is blamed for the murder that this woman does. The police there's a manhunt after him. Since he's all over the papers and the news, the killer knows who he is, stalks him, finds him, ties him up to a bed, is about to have sex with him. That's Joe Beth. And then the police bust in, and Alex, his psychiatrist / brand new girlfriend as of last night, save him.
Unethical.
Joe Beth goes to jail. Vastly. Joe Beth goes to jail. It's implied that he and Alex, his shrink, are now a couple, and that's the end of the film. So that's all you need to know going into Bedroom Eyes 2. Does that help anything?
That's probably more than I need to know, and it doesn't help at all.
But I'll tell you, though, it's worth watching because it has a very 80s sensibility about going to a psychiatrist. Like, Harry's super embarrassed about it at first. And there's all these stupid jokes about it. Like, his secretary tells him he looks tired, and he's like, oh, it's all the sleep I've been getting. And she says, well, maybe you could use some exercise. And then cut to him running again because he goes jogging at night, and that's when he does the peeping. And he, like, jogs to peep on one person specifically. And it's just like I want to say it has a very kind of vaudeville feel at times, and then it cuts to like just hardcore nudity, which hey,
it sounds like a bad version of that DePalma film. What's it called?
Just all of them.
Yeah.
No, but I'm not a DePalma fan. But
no, it's Canadian
Basic
DePalma.
Instinct, or
there's the one though.
Instinct?
There's the one. No, that's
Blowout.
No, there's the one where it's the guy and he looks in, he's watching the lady. But
I just described so many movies, so many like Skinamax movies from the 90s.
I mean, it's like if you walked in Blockbuster in the 80s, it would have been in the Peeping Tom section.
That was called it was tastefully renamed the Thriller section in the 1990s.
Yes.
I recall Bruce Willis's Color of Night and all of the Poison Ivy movies.
Mm-hmm. Don't make me Indecent Proposal. Where would that fall?
Oh, that was like a legitimate movie.
That's in the business section.
Yeah. Why don't one of you two kind of, just in case people aren't really aware of, people who are younger than us that didn't grow up with cable and that kind of, being able to stream whatever filth you want to, kind of explain the landscape of the 80s and the new movie channels that were existing and why this exists. Because Bedroom Eyes 1984 was a kind of a sleeper hit. It had a very limited theatrical run, but I think you guys know where it rose to prominence in people's living rooms. Yeah. So can somebody take a crack at just explaining how the erotic thriller kind of became a thing for 10 years?
Well, the year was 1984, and people were burned out on Pac-Man and hard up for tits. The only way
I see nothing wrong with this.
The only way that you could see pornography was to purchase a magazine or to be a subscriber to the Playboy channel, which meant you had to have a satellite dish.
Or a tape in a giant clamshell box.
Yeah, right. So video stores. So let's talk about that.
They really were called clamshell.
There used to be stores where you could buy videos. And so instead of just like picking stuff off your TV, you'd have to physically go down to a place and browse stuff like a library. And we still have those, right?
I mean,
libraries.
Yeah,
are those still around?
We're
still paying for one.
Okay, good. So it's like that, except you pay for it instead of like just rent or whatever. Check it out.
Okay, but you got to be fair to the millennial generations. They generally like latch on to the absolutely most absurd part of things, and like I know most of the Gen Z millennial types that I know have like more interest in videos and collecting the actual NES cartridges than I ever did.
Yeah, like, right. But it's always like, I collect VHS stuff, but it's like only WrestleMania.
But I mean, well, maybe. Yeah.
There's a huge horror VHS.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I think they know they have romanticized, Blockbuster because they were like 2 when Blockbuster was still alive, and right. However old the child is when they start.
I'm kind of being like overly back in my day because they did that last Blockbuster thing and all that, the last Blockbuster in Bend, Oregon. But so video stores, but the mom and pop video stores, there weren't these big ones. They used to have like kind of a back adult section, and so you'd see stuff like that if you could get behind the beaded curtain.
You could, well,
Most of us
and to
didn't,
be
though.
fair, like some blockbusters had NC-17 movies. I rented Revenge of the Cheerleaders many times from my local Blockbuster without any shame. You just had to be 17. But I think that's the linchpin here. This is the thing that Matt might be getting at, is that you needed to be 18 to get pornography unless you knew somebody who had a stash somewhere in the woods, or you just had like an older brother with low moral character. You
Or
had
if
to
your
be
parents,
18.
or if your parents had cable, and you had something like Cinemax, or it was like HBO After Dark, that kind of thing.
That's what I'm getting.
All
these things are factors. Yes,
like Showtime and the Movie Channel and HBO all had kind of like late night stuff where things were not Playboy Channel level of pornography, but kind of racier, and you were pretty. Yeah, it was softcore, like just some situation where you were sort of guaranteed a boob shot, basically.
Yeah, and I think there's a large part of the population, Joe and Jack, that were like not interested in going to rent a porn, even at like whatever. Like there's like they could be your parents or whatever. Just like I would totally watch something erotic with my wife at 1 a.m. on Saturday night, but I don't want to go rent a hardcore porno at some video store where I know the guy or I know somebody working there.
Here's a fun little aside to that.
Scratched an itch.
Personal note on that. My parents had a dubbed, like a tape. They dubbed off television. I think it had to be off PBS. It was Lady Chatterley's Lover, like the D.H. Lawrence thing. And because it's D.H. Lawrence and it's PBS, it was like boobs are okay because it's artistic. But they had that. That was their...
Or Benny Hill.
Their, like,
boobs were okay
porno
on Benny
tape.
Hill as well.
Yeah,
Which I assume is
that's a boner
basically
killer,
the same
though, man.
reason.
But that is a boner killer. You don't throw on Benny Hill and then get in the mood.
Jackety Sax?
Yeah, I mean, sorry.
No? I think it's the yakety sax that's kind of like, I think even if the boobs were like exciting for a second, you'd be like, as soon as you heard,
So can I ask you guys
some
something?
of us were more hard up than others, so I'm just going to go ahead and say maybe it depends on the individual, but well.
So Mandela effect thing here. I've had this conversation we're having right now with many people, and it seems like it's a coin toss whether or not they believe that there were almost boobs or there were boobs.
In Benny Hill?
Yes.
Yeah.
I firmly remember I grew up thinking there were, and the more I've talked to people growing up, I'm like, I think I just thought there were because I was little and it was racy and there's girls covering themselves after he pulled the top off, but they didn't actually show anything.
There were,
but it's also
like
British.
Or is it cut for different audiences?
Yeah,
right,
I remember
because it's
seeing,
British.
Like,
it's
most
British,
of the episodes
so they might have been cool with it.
Most of the episodes you see no boobs, but then once in a blue moon, like during the credits or something, maybe they didn't trim the credits the way they edited the rest of the show, like you would see boobs or a butt.
Okay.
I like the credits. I like a credit scene with just boobs. They should do that. They wouldn't cut the credits from streaming services if it had just had boobs.
That should be, you know how like they in the 2000s all the movies did outtakes during the credit scenes. Bring it back, but just with boob. I mean, it could be boob outtakes, but if it was, anyway.
Boob outtakes.
Yeah.
Like whoops.
I think we've done this on another show, so I'm not going to belabor it, but I think that ultimately a lot of this stuff comes up from film noir and the classic era where all sexuality was mostly implied. Yeah. And then as the late 60s happened and relaxing of the film, censorship and whatever, just those two things kind of came together naturally, just like erotic,
organically, like a man and a woman who love each other very much.
Yes. So I think that that kind of happened in, the giallo films from Italy that were kind of thrillery, exploitative things that were sexy in their own way. And so it was just kind of a steady path to get to where we got. But then you throw in cable and VHS and it just kind of makes sense, right? So it kind of reigned for a while where there was these sexy thrillers with saxophone music and a guy in over his head or stumbling into a thing and crazy lovemaking and whatever. So that's how we got there.
And this thing has more saxophone in it than the entire Lethal Weapon trilogy. Like it's a lot. It's a lot.
Okay. I'm going to throw Jack a challenge here. We typically, before we start talking about the movie itself, like
Guaranteed I'm going to
properly, we just do like an elevator synopsis, just the Wikipedia plot paragraph. What is this about for someone who hasn't seen it yet? By the way, you can see this on YouTube for free if you search Bedroom Eyes Part 2 or numeral 2, 1989. It's really soft. It's a really soft transfer. The audio is really murky and kind of hard to follow, but you can watch it. You can see Bedroom Eyes 1 on Prime or on IMDb, with ads for free. Yeah. But I'd watch Part 2 because it has Wings in it.
On Rogue Riffers, we used to call this the 10,000-foot view.
Yes.
So... But this is a tough one because it's funny you mentioned noir because like it has that hallmark of noir movies where like it's super or just thriller mysteries in general where it's super convoluted and like there's like 2 and 3 twists at the end.
Yep.
So if I'm being honest, at about the time where they had a cop dressed as like a hip hop artist trying to book 2 belligerent prostitutes at a police station, I kind of like. I didn't check out, but I just forgot what the rest of the movie was about because I was so thrilled about that. But anyway, 10,000-foot view. I'm going to say a stockbroker experiencing some marital difficulties with a confused romantic past gets involved in a revenge plot where he is the intended victim, and there's lots of sexy, thrilling along the way. And then it turns out that the people that you think are responsible aren't responsible at the end, and it really is,
Hey,
that's the twist. No spoilers,
Okay, I guess you would. So you wouldn't if that was the TV guide.
No.
But if you were doing an elevator pitch, you go. But the twist is. Right.
Yeah.
So okay, fair enough.
The twist is
you wouldn't hear an elevator pitch, right? You wouldn't hear an elevator pitch and go, "Whoa, no spoilers!" Like you need to know that that happens.
But Joe, did you write a TV guide synopsis?
I didn't this time around.
Okay.
It would have been Jack did a great job, but the 10,000-foot view was it's basically the same thing, yeah. But it reminds me of M. Night Shyamalan because I saw he's got a new film coming out. Did you see that? Have you seen ads for that?
I just was aware.
I
was just aware it was coming out as of a day or two ago. I didn't hear about it till then.
It's like people go on a beach and then every minute that passes is like a year of their life or something, and they age. Why?
Can we hold on? Can we stop,
why do they keep letting him make movies? I'm serious,
people need to just stop doing this kind of writing where they think they had where it's the
clever.
The point turns on some ostensibly clever trick. You know what I mean? As it turns out, he was dead the whole time, or that doesn't motivate a whole story. And every other M. Night. I mean, do people still like him?
That's what I don't get.
That's what I'm not. I don't understand that. It's why do they keep making him maybe they're making him make movies.
But it wasn't just him. There was Birdcage, A Quiet Place, all these stupid movies that just turned on a stupid gimmick.
Oh, Bird Box.
No offense.
Bird Box, yeah. Bird Box.
The one where she's in the canoe.
Sandra
the lady
Bullock.
from Speed.
Yeah, that's Bird Box.
Bird Box.
But that book was actually good. I like that book.
You talk about the meat if you guys want.
But M. Night, he's not putting butts in seats, right? With the one where it's the plants are scary or whatever, or it's the air. The air is the monster. The Happening. Nobody's. Ugh. I mean, are people just yes?
I've seen that 4 times. I love that movie.
I loved Unbreakable. I'm going out to see this M. Night Shyamalan movie starring Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
For me, The Lady in the Water, or whatever that was called. That one's amazing because it's so bad that it's compelling.
That's how I feel about The Happening. I did not get that from Be in the Water.
Okay. It's him just getting revenge on critics. It's him saying writers and filmmakers are the real creators. they make these worlds where these beautiful things come out of, and he ruined them by critiquing them or questioning them or criticizing.
God forbid you should have an opinion about it.
I mean, that's okay. And that's fair. I mean, to some extent, I'd say that's fair. Critics don't really. I mean, if you believe in a very Aristotelian picture of of literature.
Whoa, big word. Slow down.
perfectible art form, that you can make in a perfect way, or often Plato's Heaven somewhere, there's a perfect version of a movie and we're trying to work towards that. Then like critics would have a point, a place where they kind of like bring the artist towards that. But I mean, I think most criticism is basically arbitrary, and you don't have to look any further than all the really stupid movies that got critical raves and all the really terrible movies, or amazing movies that were like panned by critics at first. Like I remember, like everybody loves Quentin Tarantino so much they can't get enough of him. And apparently, I read this story where he walked out of the screening of either Lost Highway or Mulholland Drive at some film festival, and he. Big David Lynch fan, by the way, and he said that like David Lynch was so far up his ass at this point that he didn't even know what he was doing anymore, and like. It really validated everything I believe about the world because I can't stand Tarantino and I love David
Said the
Lynch.
guy who did Hateful Eight, like biggest piece of shit. Like
that was a pretty shit movie.
Not a good movie, man. Like it looked good, but like you need look no further than the Oscars, who get it wrong almost every fucking time.
That's what I was gonna say, Joe. Is like go back through the Oscars and look at all the Best Picture things. Look at what won, and it's like, what is this? I've literally never heard of this movie.
And you're like, great! The Greatest Show on Earth won that year, and you're like, the same year that like Marty was, or whatever. Like I've got my years wrong, but like Greatest Show on Earth that won in a year when it was like. There were so many other like, oh, that's the same year as that? That's insane. But like, in M. Night Shyamalan's defense, I will say that I can tell from a trailer that a thing's going to be bad. Like, I didn't go see The Happening because I'm like, that looks like a piece of shit. I don't need the New Yorker to tell me that. Or like Vincent Canby from the New York Times. I'm not going to read that review like, oh, I wonder if this is any good. Well, let's see what's Janet Maslin say. Well, let's see. It's like, oh, it's a piece of shit? Yeah, I know. I saw the trailer. It looks fucking stupid. So,
I mean, honestly,
you're
like,
right. We don't really need critics, maybe, but
maybe we need them in the sense that like you need critics to tell you if this movie is like other movies you like. Maybe that's like the most valuable service they provide. Sure. Like, if you like, Greatest Show on Earth, boy, you'll love Greatest Show on Earth Part 2.
You'll love
or the
Pee-wee,
same or something.
Big Top Pee-wee.
Yeah, and really, don't ever, that's a sore spot, okay? Because I wanted to love Big Top Pee-wee so much.
We all did.
The first one.
I'm just saying, you like circus movies, man. That's all the algorithm knows.
I do. That's true. That's a good
it's like Animal Crackers. That's maybe a circus thing. We don't know. It's Marx Brothers. We don't know.
It's
maybe
possible,
you like that.
Like critics, maybe, like everything is fashion. Like everything is
John Wayne Gacy documentary. Maybe that's what you want next.
Clowns, right?
Yeah.
Awful.
Clowns, elephants. You want Dumbo? You said you like circus stuff. Like
Elephant Man, Dumbo.
Elephant Man. Yeah. Elephant by friggin' Gus Van Sant. Like,
right.
Okay.
How did we get here?
Well, we were watching a Wings Hauser movie initially. And then I told everybody what it was about, so I saved them all the trouble of watching the movie. And then we can just
You're welcome.
End it here.
Okay, so I'm gonna zoom into a 500-foot view.
Yeah,
just one layer deeper in case I need it. So I was watching this again cold, thinking this was a sequel and title only, but it wasn't. So I was wondering why this had the stockbroker shit, but it all became clear once I realized it was actually a sequel. So anyway, this guy Harry is a stockbroker. There's a completely unrelated plot about them doing insider trading and making a bunch of money that I don't know why it's in there, but I think it's just to tie it to the first film.
Well, to be fair, it throws a little bit of suspicion. It's used as a red herring later because the disc goes missing, remember?
Yeah.
And they think that somebody might have – so the cops think that somebody might have been blackmailing him, and that gives him motive for murder. So
it's a real right. – yeah, it's some real like – like first level MacGuffin shit.
Yeah.
But they spent an inordinate amount of time setting up that red herring, I think is what Matt's trying to say. So.
Okay, so this was my takeaway from the first watch through was like, okay, this is filmed in Toronto, I think. And
yes. Mostly yes.
It is basically this guy's broke dick DePalma, broke dick Vertigo. Like he's trying to do this thing with a dead wife and the dead ringer for the dead wife and whatever. And it just like Jack was saying, it folds in on itself with these like turns, turning the tables and the worm turns and this new thing's revealed that changes everything you knew. Yeah. Lots of twists, but the ultimate story. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that like for all its twists and turns, it's trying so hard, and that's kind of why like I guess M. Night was on my mind. Besides that, he's putting a new film out in theaters Friday or whatever, but.
Don't advertise for him.
Yeah, in theaters Friday. I fucking hate him. You got to go see it.
Well, you got to understand too that this was it was formulaic for this type of movie.
Well, what I was gonna say, Jack, is that like it for all its twist and turniness, it's like it reminded me of like you know how the people say like Law and Order. It's always like the biggest guest star is definitely like they try and go after somebody and it's like it wasn't him. It's actually this guy.
Yeah,
and it's like of course it is. He was the biggest guest star. Well, in this, they don't have the guest star level thing, but somehow the way it's written, it's so given away. I'm like, it's her. She ran over your ex-wife with the car.
I think everybody kind of at least. I mean, that crossed my mind at first. By the time I got to the end, I honestly couldn't remember who was who. And maybe this is a great time to call for a little more diversity in casting because, like, I could not tell any of them apart by the end. Some had dark hair. Some had blonde hair, and that's pretty much where it ends.
One was Linda Blair, and then two others were not Linda Blair.
Can I ask you? Okay, hold on though. But Matt, we'll probably let you get back to your show sooner or later. But I got to ask another question.
No, this is organic.
Why was Linda Blair ever super? Why? Just explain it to me. I mean, I get that she made a splash in The Exorcist, but
that's it.
Nothing else I've ever seen her in. Like, did I enjoy her? Not that she's a bad actress or anything, or I'm a great actor, or, but like, I just don't get the appeal. And there were people, like one of the guys that was on our show, like he loved Linda Blair, absolutely loved her, made us watch all of her movies, I don't get
probably more in his camp than your camp. I have kind of a weird thing for her.
Well, that's perfect then. Okay, yeah, so talk about that.
Once she became an adult, she did whatever that Women in Prison movie was, where she, it was Reagan grown up, showing everything, taking all of her kid off in a shower in a prison. So I mean, it's like if you're a sleazy film fan, I don't know. Honestly, her acting never blows me away as an adult at all. But something about her appeals to me, and she's got some assets that I enjoy seeing on the screen.
I get that because I saw Molly Ringwald finally did a topless scene like many years later in the 90s. I forget the name of the movie, but I was so excited about it. But then
here's Jack, Molly Ringwald finally doing a topless scene. Finally!
Click.
God!
I'm finished!
I mean, it was
about fucking time.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're joking, but I really I was excited for it because who didn't have a crush on Molly Ringwald and I wanted to see like nudity, but it wasn't. But I don't get it with Linda Blair. Like I don't see the sex appeal or anything.
Yeah, no, I guess I can see not getting it. Totally. This was the film where they met and they dated for like 6 years.
Oh, Wings Hauser did?
Yeah, this actually, I think, broke up his marriage. The filming of this movie. They were together through like 95, I think.
How is it that Gale didn't break up his marriage, but this movie did?
Oh, that's a good question.
Thank you.
So a year ago, I think we did Skins, the skinhead movie.
Oh.
That he wrote and directed it, where he's avenging his son is gay and he was jumped by a bunch of skinheads and beaten brutally in Hollywood. Yeah. And he comes out of drunken exile in Mexico, an ex-cop, and goes and fights all these guys. But Linda Blair played his whatever there. But one of the Nazi, I don't know, they're not moles. What do you call chicks that hang out with skinheads? Nazi
losers.
Yeah.
Nazis.
Thank you.
Nazis. Nazis?
It's his current wife. So he met his current wife while he was making a film with Linda Blair in 1994 or 5.
Yeah.
Her name's Calla Lily.
Oh, like the flower.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're still together to this day.
What do you call a lady who lives with a Nazi? The Nazi. But what was the word? What was the word? What was the term? I didn't hear.
Know. Yeah.
No, I was saying like gangster mole or MOLL. Is that how you say that? Mole?
Oh yeah.
Oh, like women that hang out with gangsters. Mall,
mall.
Oh, mall. I was saying it wrong. Sorry, gangster mall.
I don't think skinheads have a sophisticated sort of like hierarchy like that.
I think they're like anyone that will let me push them around. and not call me a shitbag, like, you know.
Yeah.
And that's gonna half agree with my shit. Like that's what they're going with.
Was Linda Blair also in the Wilding? That was the one we did for the year before last.
I didn't think so. The cop movie with Joey Travolta.
The one with Wings Hauser where it was about the Central Park 7 or whatever. What was the name of that then?
Wilding.
Oh, Joey Travolta was in that.
Yeah, he was his partner.
Oh, how am I supposed to remember? You know,
you need to lay off the sauce, my friend.
It was 2 years ago. And to be fair, like most
changed my life.
Yeah, most of the movies we watched at that time were not watched carefully, or so we were so busy trying to talk over one another and like make jokes and stuff.
But you did that show with me, didn't you?
Yeah. But I watched it with them.
Oh, you did.
We did it the night before. I watched it with them, and then so
you watched it in kind of more of a riffy kind of way.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me till just now on the air. You son of a bitch.
Listen, man, that show was golden. And if it wasn't for Lad's dog barking the entire time, that show would have won an Oscar by now.
I think so. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. There's two. The female stars are Kathy Shower, who was a former Playmate of the Year from '85.
Is that a real name?
Heir to the Shower Empire.
Yes, and she gave a oddly solid performance, especially stacked up against Linda Blair as like one's a professional actor, one's a nude model, and I thought she actually was better than Linda Blair was in this. But so he has married this woman named Carolyn. His wife named Alexandra was hit by a hit and run.
Tell me about your wife.
No, I don't think I'd like to.
Yes, I'd like to hear.
Well, let's see. We haven't been married too long. She's very beautiful, very intelligent, very creative, and very much lives for her art. Carolyn used to work for me years ago. We had a relationship. And I think she took it more seriously than I did. So one day she got mad at me and just walked out. She quit. About that same time, I met this girl, Alexandra, which I told you looked like her, right? And she helped me through a real hell of a time, a real tough time. We fell in love. We got married. And it was good. It was good at first. But then Carolyn came back into my life, and one thing led to another. Alexandra and I had a fight over Carolyn. She ran off in the streets in a blind rage and was run down by a car. Hit and run. Jesus. They never caught the driver. I mean, hell, we weren't even married 3 months. I never met her family or friends.
And what about Carolyn?
She took it pretty strangely. I mean, she seemed to think that she was responsible for it. She had a nervous breakdown. I remember one night I went up to her house and she was in her bathtub and she'd opened up her goddamn wrist. Anyhow, she got out of the hospital and went to France. And, I don't know, she seems all right now. Distant. Very distant. Why am I telling you all this?
And so Carolyn is a hoity-toity art dealer in Manhattan, and he's a stockbroker. Those are the main things you need to know right here, right?
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. For us to talk about this in kind of sequence or just kind of,
Oh, and he has kind of a little toady friend that's his stockbroker partner.
Dude.
Is it Neil? Is that his name? Or? Did I get his
no, it's Lenny, Lemmy, Teddy. I don't know because the sound was really bad, so it didn't stick with me.
There's only 3 men in this movie. How are we not?
Yeah.
Well,
but it's he's like a little, a short guy with a mustache.
No, I'll tell you what he looks like. If they had cast Ringo Starr to play Boner from Growing Pains, that's what he'd look like.
Yeah, he kind of it's funny you say that. He reminded me of the guy who played Nick Cage's friend in Valley Girl. Like this kind of right? Yeah, kind of like that, same energy. And that guy was in some horror movies too, but I don't remember what they are. But
this guy specifically, though, I didn't look him up, and so I apologize, but I swear he looks just like a guy in a movie that, it's had to be a Mystery Science Theater that I've seen multiple times, and I don't remember which one, but I'm like, he's definitely in like Time Chasers or some shit. Like, no, and it's probably not. But
his name is Joe Giardina. He was in Bedroom Eyes 2, Cleo/Leo, and Alexa, all in 1989 or 1988. Those 3 roles were his only credits.
Maybe
so
under that.
He had a good year.
Yeah.
He had a great fucking year.
Is Cleo/Leo a reimagining of Glenn or Glenda? Please say yes.
Victor Victoria.
That's also the same movie. They're all remakes of one another.
No. Leo, an egocentric, sexist businessman who thinks he's God's gift to women, gets a taste of his own medicine when he tries to pick up the wrong woman, a murderous psycho who shoots him. Blah, blah, blah. Leo falls off a bridge. No.
No. Okay. Well, I expected that to make some sense, but that's fine. I'm still just going to go with my theory. I'm going with the Ed Wood theory.
Let's just go. Let's just go with he had a hell of a year.
Yeah.
Like, Joe, remember Caleb Landry Jones's 2017 when he was in Twin Peaks: The Return, 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, and some other fucking Get Out.
Maybe, yeah.
What a fucking year! That was 1 year that dude.
Wow.
Did those films.
What's his name? I can't remember his name. There's another actor that was he was in Get Out, and then he was in everything. He was in Get Out, Sorry to Bother You, and then he was just in everything. It was this
that
guy,
dude's rad. He was in
he's
Atlanta.
Awesome. What is his name?
Lakeith Stanfield. I fucking love
Stanfield.
that guy.
He's great. He's fantastic. But he's he just, after Get Out, he was in everything. And I'm this is when I'm yeah, please do this. When somebody's great, even Jennifer Lawrence had a moment that was okay, she's going to be in everything. That's fine for a minute. If someone's really great, do that. Use them.
That's how I feel about the Linda Blair thing. I don't understand why she was in stuff after. That one
people were Exorcist was good, right? They'd expected her head to spin around, maybe. Maybe
I
it was
don't mean
that.
to suggest that she doesn't have value because I don't find her hot, but I just don't I don't get any of it. I don't get there's no charisma there for me or nothing.
Do you know what it is, maybe, Jack, is that people were they saw older Linda Blair, they're do the head thing, spin your head around, do it, you want to.
I used to say the same thing to that lady who was in Deep Throat.
God.
Sorry, it's late. I can't help it.
It is late for you. So let's dig into this as a Wings project now. We've definitely been flirting and doing a lot of foreplay. So, first of all, just what were your thoughts? We haven't been too coy about it to this point, but what did you think in general, Joe, as a watching experience?
Well, the video and audio issues aside, I didn't have a problem imagining better fidelity on those ends, and if I saw this, I'd be it feels very much when I saw that it was shot in Toronto. That kind of made sense. It felt like a CBC thing or a Cinemax thing. It felt made for TV, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and like I said, the plot twist stuff felt really kind of obvious to me in a way, or they kind of Chekhov's gunned your ass the whole time, where they're this is going to come up later. In a way where you're okay, well, you're not going to, you can't show me that. And then also pretend, expect me to act surprised. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So they kind of did that along the way. So that was a thing that didn't really sat with me, and then it just seemed sort of it's there. I know what it's trying to do. I felt like there was some kind of a lot of tapping, sort of I don't know what the script was, but how it was written, whatever. But the thing with the telling the story of I'm assuming there's a script, and it says there is, but there's that whole thing with the opera, and I'm going to tell the story of Tosca or whatever, and then there was the other one the philosopher such and such, and
So you must be a little nervous about tomorrow.
A bit, but Trivia's been very supportive.
Trivia? Was that your girlfriend?
Trivia's your wife.
My wife? Well,
that's what everyone downtown calls her.
I see.
She's very changeable, as you know. Somebody once compared her to that Greek deity with 3 images. The moon, the hunter, and the queen of hell. The sacrifices were made to her at the crossroads. Or trivia. Trivia.
Right. Well, it sounds like a very interesting group you got downtown.
I was just like, oh, okay, so a college sophomore wrote a fucking script and is like, oh, I'm going to put these little, education nuggets in there, drop these truth bombs on you. Like, that's kind of, and then the art, there's a lot of art in this thing because, of course, his wife.
This is art. How dare you?
His wife is an art dealer, or a gallery owner, rather. And yeah, so there's a lot of bad art in this. It's like,
wow.
It's community college freshman. Like, yeah, you have some talent, stick with it, but you got a long ways to go. Like, that's definitely like the eyes aren't on the,
To be
like,
fair,
it doesn't look like a potato.
A stylistic choice, like a sort of quasi cubism, like a half cubism. That the eyes are no. You're only seeing it from one angle, but like the eyes are a little bit in the wrong place.
But we
don't know. That could have been intentional.
No, everything was in the right place, though. It's just you're doing it's just bad. Like, you're trying to do it right. It wasn't like, oh, you made some crazy choices there. It was like, oh, you're doing chalk pastel. Oh, I wish I could remember what I said to my wife when we were watching it. She was like, that's absolutely it. But it essentially was like a community college, drawing. I'm going to draw you. It's like chalk pastels or oil pastels kind of thing. That's what it was. I said, it's like if they got a community college student to do the Family Ties portrait.
So, Joe, can I ask you a question? So the first time that I apologize at home. You're trying to follow along. I can already tell this is going to be very loosey-goosey.
You're going to have to edit a lot of this.
Here's the thing. The art dealer wife, Wings goes to her gallery and he finds out that she's off seeing one of her artists that she handles. So he goes out to where that is, takes a ferry out to that island, and sees them making love. She's posing nude. He sees nude portraits from this artist that are clearly his wife, drives out to the dude's house, sees them looking through the window. Again, a lot of the stuff is like just service to tie these two films together, I think. So like the bedroom eyes voyeur thing, like, oh, he's looking through the window at his wife fucking her artist she handles. Yeah. And so he gets this revenge plot in mind. And so while he's doing this illegal trade stock deal, he goes to the aquarium in Toronto to relax. And Linda Blair.
You mean New York.
Sorry.
New York Aquarium.
He runs into Linda Blair. And they bump into each other, and he like picks up her sketchbook, and he's kind of staring at her, and we don't know why yet, but we find out later it's because she's a dead ringer, like fucking twin for his dead wife.
But not in like the David Cronenberg sense where it's really skillful and artistic. It's, sort of
same actress playing two roles essentially.
Yeah, okay.
So he goes into the Shark Tank thing, and he's just zoning out watching these large fish in an aquarium, and realizes she's drawing him. And the drawing that she shows him, Joe, is so crude that I laughed out loud when I saw it. But it reminded me, you're a Lynch fan, Jackson, maybe you'll get this as well. In Twin Peaks, when Andy is drawing Leland from like a quarter profile, and it's just the back of his head during the court proceedings for his bail hearing. And Harry's like, he's like, hey, Harry, do you think I could sell this to the Gazette? They like these courtroom drawings. He's like, maybe try and get a little bit of his face in there. But it was like that quality.
Well, it's funny because it feels like they made us feel like she was sitting there and he was standing there spacing out for 10 minutes. And in that 10 minutes, she was drawing the sharks and she worked him into the thing. So she's drawing him standing next to the thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, you didn't just do that, like just whip that up. You'd be like, I'm just going to keep doing my drawing and wait till this guy moves on. Not like, well, yeah. Like, how long would you have to sit there and be drawing and before you were like, okay, well, he's not moving. I guess he's just going to become part of my drawing.
That's true.
Okay, fine, Mr. Stare Guy.
I'm going to interject here, and I'm going to say, first of all, whatever artist that they hired for this movie, I'm sure
they didn't hire an artist for this movie. I can
that's relevant. Think about it. Like, look, that person is a better artist than any of us is. Who are we to sit here and talk shit about somebody's like earnest effort at like contributing something to this film?
You need to see Joe's work, my
friend. Wrong.
Okay.
No, the special thanks too. That's where you go and you go, these are the 5 artists that they got to do all of the paintings and sketches that are in this movie, these people. And they said, your work's pretty good. Can you do something that looks like this? And we can't pay you, but you'll get credit in the movie. Table. Yeah, sure. And you can come on set of a real Hollywood movie in Toronto.
Yeah,
so that's what was going on, man.
I love it the same way I love outsider art. I think like
it was all done for free.
Good that some poor craft services person got to draw some pictures for a movie. That's more valuable than
no. I meant the artist got access to the craft services table. And
same difference. Yeah,
hey,
perfect.
Free M&Ms, all you can eat, M&Ms. Also, there's no like, it's not really outsider art. Like outsider art is like the guy that did the REM Reckoning cover.
Yeah, but I mean like
this is like someone who's an art student trying to be like good.
Outsider. Like I don't.
This isn't Darger.
Right. Yeah, I mean, look, if we want to sit around and talk about how like critics are kind of pointless in a way, then we can't turn our back around and say, well, like this art's really terrible. I mean, like you can say, you know, Joe, if you're a magnificent artist, you can say like, look, I could do a lot better than this. But I mean, I personally couldn't, and I can't really take any.
Sure, but here's my problem with that. My problem with it isn't that it's bad. My problem with it is the conceit of the film is that this is a good painting. This is an art gallery. Like a high-end art gallery in Manhattan. Yeah. This person is a great artist, and this guy is not lying when he says she has talent. That kind of thing. So it's what I like to call the masterpiece problem, which is like, okay, so you're going to do this whole thing, and then when you show it to me, if you show me and this character is a painter and he's like making it as an artist in New York, for example, when you show me that, like, I better be like, oh, that's pretty good.
Listen,
like,
man,
they
blew their art money on
fucking
Wings Hauser,
really?
okay? You don't get Wings Hauser for cheap. He doesn't just come do Bedroom Eyes 2 for nothing. If you got to cut some corners in the art department and throw a little extra money,
man,
I know what you do.
I know why they did it. I worked in film. I worked in film too. They cut where they can, and they're like, we got to have wings. The art stuff, nobody cares. Nobody knows what good art is. Let's just this is good enough. Yeah. That's what they did.
That's probably it. And in all
we don't have to pay them at all, and then we can get a good cinematographer.
As an artist, like, and I'm just going to say this, I'm sorry, cover your ears, kids. Most people don't give a shit. They don't think that, like, the quality of the sketches in this movie is the thing that's going to, like, sink this
right,
movie.
And that's why I'm saying they were banking on that, and they said, let's skimp on the budget for this and get some community college students and go, hey, we'll throw you in a movie. It's cool. You'll be able to put it on resume, but we're not going to pay for these drawings. We'll give you $50 for, like, to do this drawing.
To the rest of us, like when I was watching the movie, I was just like, all right, well, it doesn't seem like a great sketch, but like it didn't ruin the movie for me. Like it really
doesn't seem like a great sketch, but it does seem like it would have its own gallery show in Manhattan.
Yeah,
like that's where I'm like, come on, man.
This isn't the first place I'd start poking holes in things, I'd go a little farther back, I think. I mean, like, I'm a writer. So writing bothers me. The dialogue in this movie is so canned. It sounds like it was, like, generated by, an artificial intelligence program. It's awful. It's horrible. But, like, to somebody who's not a writer, they're not going to go, that craft was not done to perfection. They're just going to go, like, all right, it's one of these movies. Fuck it,
So I slightly disagree with you in terms of this. Like, I think that what you're arguing is sort of like, oh, I can't enjoy CSI because I'm an actual forensic scientist at a police station, and it isn't all like dark blue light and like this fancy like zoom enhanced shit. Like, no. I'm not saying like, well, technically art's not like that, and this is bullshit. Like they're tricking people. Like, I see Gremlins and I see a projector that's like not a platter system. I'm like, no one uses this old timey, Like they showed us that because they're like, no one will understand what this is if you don't show the thing that looks like an icon of a movie projector.
Right.
So that's not my problem. My problem is if you paid an artist, a couple $100 to do something that would look like slightly, just not super bad, just like, okay, it's competent. It's not great. It's not like gallery level, but whatever. I'd be like, all right. But these were like we laughed out loud when we saw some of these. Like
what? We did as well.
Really? So that's going to take me out of the film. So it's like, yes, you're able to go along with it, fine, but like I don't think it's nitpicking to say like you might want to like crank that up a notch to be like competent, because so much of this film and the plot like hinges on like an art gallery, an artist,
look,
two artists.
There's so much of that in movies already.
The guy that's fucking her and Linda Blair's character, both artists.
Look,
and
Joseph,
then there's a whole art gallery.
Before we derail the whole show here, hang on. Let me just defend myself, and I'm going to say it's one of many things in a movie that does a lot of things poorly. And the whole – that's true. I mean, but hang on. Let me say my part now. Like the thriller, the mystery thriller, the erotic thriller followed a very specific pattern, and this movie did it poorly. Like it hinges not only on like this artwork being central to the plot, but it hinges on delivering the twists at the right pace and with the right amount of buildup that the audience like kind of understands it and expects it, but doesn't quite get it just ahead of time. And it doesn't do that well either. So I'm saying like there's all kinds of stuff that just don't work, and the art is just one of many things that just doesn't work. I don't think it's more or less important than any other. I would just respectfully like would question like that being the thing that stood out the most, which is what it seems like is happening for you guys. And I'll let that be the last thing I say about it.
Right. I just think it feels more like an afterthought than anything, because you can't have the writing be an afterthought. Clearly there had to be a script that was badly done. Things were badly done along the way, but it was like, oh fuck, like last minute they were like, oh shit, well we need like, what's going to be the painting that's staring him down? That's his wife. Like, and they just like didn't think about it and didn't run it, didn't ask anybody like, this is good, right? Like they just, that level, like the writing, you're locked into the script. So once you're filming and doing that, like I get it. Like they fucked up on a lot of levels, but that one feels like phoned in at the end.
Yeah, because you're an artist, and that's like, it hurts to see the things we love done poorly, and I can relate. Yeah. Matt, you look like you've been trying to say something for like a while now here.
No, I've been listening to you two.
Oh, okay. All right.
Just been waiting for you guys to
be like, put him up.
Sexual tension is killing me.
Put him up.
We're trying to fix movies here. We're trying to solve movies, Matt.
No, I love it.
All right.
I know what I'd do if I had a time machine.
Meanwhile, Hitler in 1943 is still just delivering speeches as usual.
That'll blow over.
But the art in this movie,
impeccable. That'll blow over. But this cannot stand.
I just want to be able to find points where I can drop some of these clips in, because I think people do enjoy hearing the absurd.
Oh, yeah, I forgot
dialogue.
to request one, but boy, we didn't talk about that sex scene in the beginning between the prostitute and the other stockbroker guy.
Wait, she's a prostitute?
Yes.
No, she's like a business lady, and they have a business deal.
But aren't they also?
They're like,
that's what I don't. When they go to the bar to meet, she's already talking to an older dude.
Because I'm pretty sure she like says stuff about maybe it's implied. I don't know.
I think no, because she gives him information. There's like she's a Wall Street person, and she's got insider business information.
Her clients are like Wall Street people.
No, there's something. I don't think so, because I was tripping out on that. I watched this 3 times, and like there's something that he says when they leave the bar and go to the hotel room.
Yeah.
There's one line that he says that suggests that, I don't want to say that she's not attractive, but like that they have a relationship of convenience. Like she has tons of people. She gets cut in on these things because she is an insider, like Joe's saying, but they just fuck because they're fuck buddies.
Yeah.
Well, I swear to God, that's what it is.
I think so. That was my impression.
I think it didn't make any sense because he's hideous, and he's just pounding away on her
and talking the whole time.
Yeah, I think the way they sort of get to it without any foreplay or whatever, I took that to mean that I took that as more evidence that this was like
because they just start mechanically undressing.
I thought it's because she's an important business person, and
she's like, I got a business lunch in 20 minutes. Like, make it quick.
Can you do a listener poll, and can you have someone help us figure out if like this lady's a prostitute or a stockbroker?
Here's my I think that's a great idea, and I think my rationale for thinking she's not just like a high-end prostitute or whatever is that it's the 80s in movies, and movies loved to tell us when, like, it's like this is the era of Pretty Woman.
Yeah.
movies love to tell us when there was a hooker, you know, like, oh, it's like they kind of do all the
Wait, there was a
cliche
hooker
things.
in Pretty Woman?
Yeah.
So wait a minute. So why would she say, "Don't fuck me on this," or "I'll have your balls for earrings"? If she's just getting paid to give tips she's getting from other brokers and screwing people, why would you say, "Don't fuck me on this"? Like,
right? Because she's like, I could get fucking busted bad. Like, if she could get SEC fucked,
like
in jail.
Because she's a broker.
Clientele depend. Yeah, you guys could be right. I don't know. I just.
Hold on 1 second. Let me just play a little bit of this balls for earrings clip, and let me see if I'm high.
God, can you do the whole sex? The whole sex scene's only about 30 or 40 seconds.
Let's see what we have.
But you're asking me to deliver the Amacord Corporation people to you is out of the question.
Why not?
Look, Vinny, are you trying to fuck me out of a client, or are you trying to fuck me?
Well, I would never fuck you in business. Name your price.
Well, this is big. I want 20% of whatever you make.
20%? Who's fucking who?
Fine. Keep 100%. Do you know what 100% of nothing is?
I know nothing. Okay, 20% done. 20% it is.
Vinny, if you fuck me on this, I'll have your balls for earrings.
Okay.
Those would be the ugliest earrings ever.
Meatballs?
Yeah.
Everything has its 15 minutes in the fashion world.
That's true. It could be a moment. It's like bell bottoms or like Genkos.
Didn't she say at the very beginning of that, "Are you trying to fuck me out of clients?" Like, I feel like maybe as a prostitute, like, her business relies on like confidentiality to some extent, and like that's why she's nervous that he's.
I'll have to watch it again.
Four times. Wow.
So Joe, I after I watched this like twice, I was starting to make some clips, and I found that I had a much higher quality version on my Mac.
Oh, I went to YouTube because my laptop is shitting the bed, and so it was like stopping and stuff and not buffering properly. And it was
the YouTube one's like soup. I mean, like it's like listening to it through pea soup. I had a hard time hearing it.
Yeah. Like,
and we should point out that during that entire clip, they're like vertical and like boning, and we just see them kind of from like the elbow up, but they're like boning down in the bed and like horizontal
away.
Like, that's what I meant. What did I say? Vertical?
They're doing the horizontal stock exchange.
You can have sex either. It doesn't matter.
They're doing the the Dow Jones, if you know what I mean. And the whole time they're talking, they're like, yeah, so that thing. And I'm like, is that a thing? Do people do that? Where they're just like
pounding,
just boning down and going like, so I'm thinking we should get some plants for the backyard. Or,
I can answer your question. They do not do that. People
I've heard
do that.
I know people who have said that, admitted, longtime married couples that admit that they someone makes small talk and just babbles about like just nonsensical bullshit.
Oh my
God! While they're pounding away on their wife.
Is that a Catholic by chance?
Yep.
Huh.
Why would that be Catholic? I don't want to. You know what? I didn't want to know that that's a real thing.
People we know, or are you just asking?
No, people we know. People we know, and also I'm like, if it's this person, that's the way I can say it's that person, and also it makes sense somehow to be like, oh, I'm fucking, but I'm not because I'm making small talk. Yeah. Like, we're not fucking. What? I'm not doing anything. We're talking about regular stuff. What? It's not dirty. Like that kind of thing.
So to change topics. Why? Joe, I also picked up on that.
Okay, wait. I can change topics. I got it. The quinceanera across the street from my house. I think they just ordered Papa John's, and I know you guys have been like interested in what's going on across the street. They're having a big party. They've been doing it all day, and they just got Papa John's. So that is a good segue into whatever Matt's going to say.
Matt, go.
You mentioned that kind of phenomenon of like I learned this thing in class, so I need to mention it, which is like one of my huge pet peeves in film. Yeah. Like one of the reasons I don't like Rob Zombie, I think, and who else is it? Kevin Smith, like these people who have like this, I heard this thing or this cool insult at a party once and I have to work this into my script.
Right. When Prometheus brought us fire, like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. So like you mentioned that thing with trivia. And so there's also another thing where when he meets Linda Blair at the aquarium and she drops her Zippo and he picks it up and he lights her cigarette and she says something to the effect of like, the fish, I could tell you were like walking in with the fish and like getting in this meditative state.
Right. They're usually not that nice.
And then he says like something about like an ichthyologist. And it's like, this person just learned the word for a fish scientist, huh?
So you like to study marine life?
Yeah. Here, let me help you. You know, if I was a true ichthyologist and I found something this beautiful, you know what I'd do? I'd be studying you.
So you said your wife's an art dealer.
Oh, yeah. And then we got to get ichthyologist in there. Tappity tap, tap, tap.
Well, sounds like a kind of ham-fisted way to try to show that he's... I think they, maybe there was this like perception in the 80s that stockbrokers were these super smart, sort of elite Ubermensch types, and they were all highly educated and they could say words like ichthyologist without, breaking a sweat. And
I think that's true. That's definitely true for like college sophomore writers trying to write screenplays about stockbrokers, which they know nothing about. And they're like, he's like a super erudite, smart guy because he lives in Manhattan and da-da-da. And so he's going to do that. Like this felt like a college sophomore to me, like stuff like that, like putting in those little lessons, the stockbroker thing. So this stockbroker scene, which I imagine is a clip you have and we're going to play like coming up here in a bit, if I may, I'm no like financial wizard. I don't know a lot about how like stocks work and stuff, but this scene like is exactly how I would write it because I don't know anything about that. And it's just be like, buy 200 shares at, $11 a share, like sell. Like, okay,
right. Look, to be fair, I'm going to pile onto that real quick before he plays the clip. You need to understand that this movie contains these two montage scenes like in the first 20 minutes, and they look like, so the first one looks like B-roll footage for like a high-end condominium ad from the 1980s, and then the second one, which is them talking on the phone telling people to sell stuff and using calculators and phones, looks like B-roll shot for like the ITT Technical Institute ads that you used to see on television in the 80s. There's the music, everything works perfectly. The amateur, like this, like second-rate quality of the film, music, everything. It's kind of beautiful.
Floppy disk. Yeah.
Sell 1,000 shares of ITT Preferred. Don't worry, we've got the money.
Yes, sell 2,500 shares Texas East. 50 and 7/8 sounds great.
3,000 shares at 47? Okay, done.
1,900 shares, 22 and a quarter. All right, do it. No, just do it.
It's in the account already. You can draw on it immediately. Bullshit. It was going for 36 yesterday.
No. 2,400 shares, not 1,400.
Okay. I'll take 32.
Well, 23. Fine. That's fine. Good.
800 shares at 56? Great. I'll take it. 220,000 shares at an average of 11 and a half.
I was tripping out when this film starts. It starts with this. I'm trying to think of like what composer would clichely like write this, but it's like this industrious. Here, I'm just gonna play a little bit.
Oh yeah, the music. Oh, good lord.
Yeah, it has very like City on the Grow.
Yeah, very much. Yeah.
Has very
Cleveland.
what?
Yeah, City on the Grow.
Yeah,
it's like Telly Savalas going like, Montgomery, you're my kind of town. Montgomery, Alabama.
Yeah.
City on the Grow.
But which is, if you think about
from
it,
the expressway to the one mall, like whatever.
What that is, if you think about it, though, is it's the really cheap composition that you would find in a second-rate like documentary footage or commercial footage shot by like a company and not some visionary director or something.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, did you? I don't know if you guys watched the credits, but like the majority of the music came from a library. So they just bought this music, which explains to me a lot of like why Linda Blair's character loves classical music, because you can buy it from this library source cheap. That's the only reason.
The first thing I thought, because we hear before she's listening to Tosca, we hear like Mozart or something in an earlier scene. I don't remember, but there's classical music, and I was like, right, no royalties, huh?
Yep.
And so like when we were talking about the level of the quality of the drawings that are kind of central in this movie, the drawings and paintings, like it kind of is. It's that. It's like where Jack and I meet on this debate is no, the level of those things rises to the quality of the entire film.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, it's like, oh, you don't have money for that and this and like, oh, it's bad writing and da 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 da. Like, I would be surprised if those artworks were like amazing. The same way that if it was like a big budget film directed by a big name and with big stars in it, and then that was the art in it, it would take you out of the picture, I guarantee.
Sure. Oh yeah, much more so.
So the reason you're able to kind of like, I think, gloss over it is because it very much fits with the level of everything else. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, you're going to listen to classical music because don't need to pay royalties on that.
Right.
It has a very jarring effect too, because it knocks you from somewhat sultry saxophone music right back into like opera, and it doesn't work. I don't think. I mean, it didn't work for me. It felt weird.
Yeah. So this film opened with that boisterous, optimistic City on the Grow music, and we see Wings Hauser walking through the city streets in a suit, and then he goes into a stock, business that he owns with his partner. I was kind of casting around trying to figure out, get my footing. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Stockhausen.
Stockhausen. Yes, and I'm sorry, I was just tripping out because we were talking about the screenwriter, and I clicked on one of the two screenwriters' names, and he directed some episodes of Schitt's Creek. So I'm just reeling with the revelation.
Whoa.
That this guy did something I liked.
Well, he's had a lot of time to hone his craft, I guess, since then.
He has.
He's like, this guy's like, lesson learned.
His writing partner. So I'm talking about Jerry. I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher this Italian name. Ciccariti, Ciccoritti. Ciccariti?
Ciccioriti. I don't know.
Sounds right. Either one.
So he's worked a ton directing and writing and everything else. His partner, Michael Alignetti, did nothing after this. So let's blame Michael Alignetti.
If somebody's got, $50 to throw at you for a quick script, you may be a great scriptwriter, but you're only writing $50 worth of script for them,
Yeah.
So who knows?
That's a really good point. Yeah.
That is a great point.
He probably got underbid and was like, well, I could use the money, but I'm going to give you like I hate to use the term, but sloppy seconds. Like, here's a bunch of like fragments of stuff I have lying around that nobody wants and I can't hammer into anything. And I'm going to take those bits and collage them together and not even bother to really do punch up, just like, this is it, man. This is what you paid me $200. Here's what you get. It's gonna be stems and seeds, stems and seeds, man. It's gonna be some shake in there.
Go ahead, Matt. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's like something's wrong when it gets hard to tell which is ruining things, if it's the writing or the acting. And like during that sex scene, I really think like for anybody who's interested in these kind of movies, like you need to at least see it for the sex scene between the two stockbrokers, or maybe between a stockbroker and a prostitute. And then there's a couple things later with Wings Hauser where he eats a chicken wing in a particular way that very much embodies like who he is as an actor. And then
he eats it like an apple. Like if you could eat a chicken wing like an apple,
savage, savage with an apple.
Like, how there's like always a guy and he takes an apple and he kind of I'm chill, man. I'm cool.
He's
like I'm cool, but like also
translates to his eating of chicken wings.
Right. Yeah. Like, I'm cool, but don't fuck with me. Kind of like I'm looking you in the eye as I eat this apple. Ow. Yeah,
I feel like if you had to ask somebody who Wings Hauser is as an actor, like what it is that's so amazing about watching him, you could show them that scene, and that would just like that 6-second clip of her saying, "I saved you a wing," and it's a fairly delicate scene, a romantic dinner. There's some tension, and you might expect something humorous to relieve the tension, but you don't expect Wings Hauser to do what he does, which is to like just seize on it. And use his mouth to like tear all the flesh from the chicken wing bone and
one bite.
Yeah, but it's not so far over the top that it's like insane, but it's really
noticeable.
Yeah, it's there. It's somewhere in the middle, and that's like who he is. It's what he does.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Maybe
he's being playful and and
but
diffusing the tension from being late for anniversary dinner. Like it makes sense.
Yeah. I have a question though, and this didn't occur to me till just now. Is that like maybe he's sort of he's thrown himself into the role of like, wait a minute, my name is Wings, and I'm eating a wing, like. This feels like
don't overthink it.
Not right.
That felt very meta. It was like a.
He's like, wait, it's
they were
like
breaking
eating a
the
part
fourth
of
wall.
myself. Like, yeah, stupid.
I mean, you're preaching to the choir with. I just want to go back to something you guys were saying about the references and like the sophomoric kind of, like use of trivia and mythology and philosophy and all that nonsense. Like, don't get hung up on sophomore. He could be a junior. Could be a junior, right? Well, they don't have those in community college.
He redshirted.
Which I know that because I went to one.
You're right.
So, I am a literalist. I don't believe in symbolism, metaphor, any of that nonsense. I don't like literary references. I don't like biblical references, nothing. I believe, and you can argue with me all you like, but like a work of art should be interpreted literally at all times. And so I hate it. And then when it goes so far as to be done so badly as it was in this movie, where it's fine if it's like, look, if you're writing a movie about college professors, who are getting together with like corduroy jackets with padded sleeves to talk about stuff, like you're going to expect clever wordplay, literary references and stuff. But when you listen to these characters talk, and they talk normally for some times, but then we'll break into like telling a story about some pointless mythology or whatever, it's so wrong, and it just feels so wrong. So I just wanted to I don't think I meant to jump in back there, and I meant to say that, but I'm just saying.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's a great point. It's a great point. It's like saying like, you don't want a character being like, hey, so what do you want, a beer? And then, and like he talks like that, like, man, well, we got to make this deal. And he's like, so have you ever heard of the Seven Muses?
Yeah.
This kind of reminds me of that. Let me tell you that.
You guys know about Euripides, right?
Right. So like, Orestes was like you just
That's
like
what it feels
what?
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden you're like, the cowboy in Big Lebowski, like just come in and you're just gonna be like, so in like olden times, blah 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 blah. I'm like, Shakespeare said. I love one of my favorite Columbo things of all time is like there's an episode where he goes, well, I guess it's okay. All's well that ends well. Shakespeare said that. It's so funny.
That's probably a good segue into. Can someone, maybe you guys can help me, because I could, like at the last 20 minutes I couldn't figure it out anymore. I didn't know what was going on with the movie. I didn't know who murdered who, and I didn't know who betrayed who.
It was the 80s, so you had to know who's zooming who.
Okay, before we, God damn it, before we jump to the end, can we just acknowledge some stuff, because I'm still kind of hung up on the beginning act where, I felt like this had some, because the middle act is really just all that matters is the setup and the ending. Like the middle is kind of padding ultimately. Yeah. In the beginning, guys, I was tripping out on the fact that like this was tonally all over the place. So it starts with that. I'm sorry to circle back around 10 minutes ago. It starts with that businessman bullshit, and then it goes to comedy with a stock tip from a sex partner who wants to be cut in, and it's funny, I guess.
Maybe. Maybe it was
sort of. And then it goes into absolute berserkness so they've already said, okay, Harry Ross is a stockbroker like he was in the first film. And this psycho from the first film, Jo Beth, we meet her. She gets released from prison 5 years after this. And she just comes into his office.
Yeah.
Can I play this? Because I think it's a funny musical stinger, but I can't tell if it's supposed to be funny or not.
Oh, I made a note about that.
Come on, Harry, do you want to see this company go down the tubes or what? This opportunity only comes
you
once.
Listen to me. Listen to me. Now, I don't want to go to jail for you or anybody else. You understand? Carol.
Hello, Harry.
Jo Beth.
I remember thinking when that happened, like, the sting only works when the audience knows who we're looking at. Like when they turn around to reveal who it is, and you've never seen them before and have no idea who they are, like the sting is pointless.
Yeah, and it made me laugh out loud pretty hard.
No, Jolie and I literally laughed out loud when that happened, that music cue. It was a big moment. It was just like, what?
So what's funny is if you're coming to this from Bedroom Eyes 1, you're expecting Deborah Law, who played Jo Beth McKenna in the first film, the Irish Canadian singer who immigrated to Canada and became an actress. You're not expecting Veronica Hart, the porn star, to be that character. So you can't even hang it up between the two actors. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Maybe the sting is like supposed to be like, you didn't think we'd have a porn star in our movie. you know. Anyway, you got me. I didn't know.
That's pretty good.
You're like, holy shit.
It's like, wow, they really did. Okay.
So the big plot was Harry finds out his wife's fucking this artist that she represents. He finds a dead ringer for his wife and fucks her and does it kind of brings it into his home so his wife sees to hurt her. That is the main thrust of this whole thing, no pun intended. Yeah. So the ending here is that what happens is he goes, the big Amercord stock deal goes through and they make $5 million.
Yeah.
And they party and he goes over to celebrate with Linda Blair, his mistress now, and gets drugged with a bunch of Seconal in a champagne. We find out that Joe Beth has been working with this artist to plan all this, and he wakes up tied up to a chair, and Joe Beth stabs Linda Blair to death, and then tells
Linda
him...
Blair cooperated because...
Revenge.
Yeah, the lady who got hit and run in the beginning, or in the previous movie, was her sister.
Yes,
right?
Sorry,
somebody was her sister.
That is the main point. Yes, his dead wife is the dead ringer that we're talking about. She was hit, and this woman poisoned her mind to say Harry is responsible, either for causing the fight, which caused her to run out in the street and get hit, or maybe he possibly literally did it. But we don't know. It's not clear. Yeah. But what she told her. But at any rate, she gets brainwashed against Harry and is used as a tool to make this whole thing happen. So we realize meeting at the aquarium, the drawing, the seduction, the blah, blah, all has been planned.
All contrived, yeah.
All contrived. And then she stabs Linda Blair, his dead wife's sister, to death and says,
I knew you had it in you, Harry. You want to know what happens next? Once you're asleep, I'm going to cut the ropes and put this knife in your hand. It'll look like a murder-suicide. Oh, the police love simple solutions.
And says, I drugged the shit out of you. I'm going to, when you pass out, I'm going to put the knife in your hand, wipe my prints off, put the knife in your hand, and shoot you in the head and put the gun in your hand or whatever. And so you take the fall for all this. Yeah. But he manages to escape, but now he's on the run. So the majority of the last act of this film is him running from this setup. And it has effective moments. Like at one point, he realizes that Joe Beth is loose and his wife is not safe. So he says, you're going to stay with me wherever I go. They go around to do some stuff, go to the office, find out the office has been ransacked. The 5.5-inch floppy disk is gone that had this illegal exchange on it. And they go back to the car and see blood dripping out of her trunk. And the Linda Blair's character's body is in there bleeding out. I mean, dead, but like bleeding over.
Yeah.
That was effective. I thought kind of a cool... That sequence I thought was good.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing that I had an issue with was, I mean, I know he's got to do it, but he's got an amount of Seconal in his system that's supposed to kill him, right? So, and then he leaves and he drives away, and it's like, oh man, I'm really tired, I'm groggy. Like, if you had that level of Seconal in your system, like, you're gonna get 20 feet before you fucking hit a parked car. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, but he's like driving across town, whatever, and he's just like, okay, I gotta stay awake.
Yeah, he was slapping himself and putting his head out the window.
Yeah, just like trying to doing that thing where you shake your head, like shake it off, and it's like, no, man, you're not gonna know fucking up from down. Like,
see, to me, I just fucked. To me, that was just the Wings Hauser factor. Like, if that happened to me, I would have plowed into the first parked car. But that's what.
Okay,
so.
Okay, I mean, he might be like George W. Bush and like have spent his whole youth practicing like driving all coked up or drunk or whatever. I mean, like, you know, and by the time you get to a certain age, you know what to expect. You're like, all right, I'm just gonna let the little coke fiend in my brain just take over and just ride on into the sunset.
Well, and how far is it across Toronto? Like 4 blocks, 5 blocks?
Where is Toronto?
20, I think it's 20 blocks. It's most of Canada.
That's right. It's above America. The real one is Toronto, and then like there's like a little island, right? Prince Edward Island, and that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Newfoundland. Okay. That's an island.
Yeah,
but they should call Canada America's attic.
Because that's where all of our.
It's where we keep all the good.
Because
where we keep all the good stuff, you know.
Yeah.
No, but you mentioned cocaine, and that was like a glaring absence in this movie. I mean, it's a glaring absence
in front of the camera.
movie.
Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah.
So here's the thing: this movie has so many '80s kind of like cliches of the time. It's like New York City, stockbroking, man, it's hot. Like he's driving a little red Mercedes convertible, of course. You know, like all this fucking 80s shit. Floppy disks, dig it. And then like
classical
and then
music.
It's like
wait, no.
Yeah, classical music. we classical music, and then like different voice,
cassettes.
like different tone of voice. He's like, we still love it.
Yeah.
Classical music, we still love it. And then he's like, did I mention floppy disks? Also, no cocaine, which was everywhere, especially in Wall Street. Like, what the fuck? Like, you had one
art galleries and Wall Street.
All art galleries. You had one super organic opportunity to introduce cocaine into the story if he wasn't already a cokehead, which was, first of all, his little buddy seems like the kind of guy who would have coke on him all the time and be coked up. Second of all, he's on Seconal. The only thing that's going to snap him out of it is do some fucking lines, do a bump.
Bolivian
that'll get you
powder.
just that'll just be enough to like so I can drive to the thing or whatever. And it's like, and they were like, no. Like I have to imagine they didn't have the budget for baby laxative, or Wings said, no, I'm not snorting cocaine on screen.
I mean, maybe like when you have done enough action, like as Matt suggested, maybe when behind the scenes enough cocaine went down, you don't want to call a whole lot of attention to that, so you kind of leave that out of things, you know.
Oh, so they're like, oh, that'd be embarrassing for us.
That's what they call a line item, that cocaine amount, and they don't want to attention
no
from the
intended,
producers
right?
and the backers to that. Like, oh wow, 75%
I wonder
of the budget was cocaine.
Well, I wonder if they were actually like, you know, someone was like, he should do cocaine in this scene, and they're like, well, and they didn't know that like in movies they do, or maybe it was when in movies you just would do cocaine. They wouldn't do baby laxative. They wouldn't do fake cocaine, and they're like, no, that's a waste of cocaine. So they originally had like, he's going to do coke and then he'll drive. He'll be like good enough to drive because he's amped up now. And they're like, so where's the coke for the scene?
Yeah, like a very real cinema
shit.
verite effort was made to like get some real coke for him to do in a scene, but it just kept disappearing. It was weird. Like it wasn't there when they were
the gaffers and the lighting crew fucking snorted it, man. What are you talking about? There was this big bag and like they thought that was for them.
You know, Joe, what movie would have done that? Tough Guys Don't Dance. They would have
absolutely.
His character in Tough Guys Don't Dance would have snorted a rail to sober up enough to drive across the town.
Absolutely. And it would have been real. You would have been like, oh,
it would have been real.
We found out 10 years later.
Norman Mailer and Wings Hauser did.
They did a practical joke on me. I was expecting baby laxative. Then I snorted it, and that reaction, that's real because they gave me real coke. And I'm like, you got me, guys. Woohoo, you got me.
Did you guys hate the cops as much as I did?
Ugh. Awful.
This one?
Not the one dressed as a breakdancer who was trying to book the two prostitutes.
No, the cops in the interrogation room.
This guy, like
those guys. And he's like,
listen,
I'm affecting a New York accent a little bit. I'm leaning into it a little too hard.
Can I play this? It was driving me crazy.
I hated it.
But you think my wife found out about me and Sophie, so she killed her, put her in the trunk of the car, and then somehow forgot to dump the body. Is that what you're thinking?
Mr. Ross, our evidence includes a body in the trunk of your wife's car, photos taken of you by the victim, your admission that you were having an affair with the victim, and a knife in the trunk of your wife's car that matches the entry wounds in the victim. If you were me, what would you think?
You know, if I were you...
I love him.
Good.
I wouldn't change anything.
I'm glad I found an audience.
Yeah, it's like a young Abe Vigoda meets a young George Segal, but they both were like community theater, and this is their big break, and they're like, what am I doing again? Like, they lost the New Yorkness and went into like, like, you're not in the fucking Godfather. What are you doing? Like, we're in New York, right? Okay, I got this. We're in New York. I can do a New York accent. Like, hey, I'm walking here. Hey. Whoa,
that scene felt a little real because I've known people who had like just ridiculous accents, and I don't know how much of that is like organic and how much of that is just like, you know, you identify with a particular thing, you know, and it becomes a subconscious sort of affectation. But it brought me a little closer to home And there was only one other scene in the movie that did that, which is
You're
when
kidding me.
Wings. Well, I mean,
you're fucking with me, right? You're
no,
fucking
I'm being
with
serious.
Me.
Yeah,
I can't tell either.
You're fucking with me. You're fucking with me.
Listen,
you saw that scene. You're like, oh wow, this I relate to this.
Yeah, I loved it. That was one of my. I like the cops in this movie.
So what was the other scene that made you feel that way?
Yeah, sorry.
It was when Wings Hauser stole Linda Blair's underpants and put them in his coat pocket before he left.
Very relatable. Yes.
You relate to that.
Yes.
That
Super relatable to steal a lady's underpants and put them in your bag.
Oh,
yeah.
Boy.
Hey, we've all been there, right?
Yeah. Who among us? You know, you guys are kidding.
Stole a pair of panties so you can sniff them later.
I forgot this is Road Riffers. I should have tempered that a little bit, I guess.
We've all been there.
Joe, didn't he really steal them so that his wife would find them?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Just making sure.
His plan is clearly to sleep with her, have evidence of sleeping with her, invite her over under the pretense of my wife will discover you and give you a show, and then fuck her in the hallway and get caught doing it.
Yeah.
So that she will feel the way he felt when he got bedroomized too.
And look, that's a good example of where the original script would have worked better, because it turned out to be her handkerchief, and if it had been her underpants, then when I think Caroline is her name, when she said she has excellent taste in perfume, and then she notices it again later, or had said it once
when
earlier.
Sophie arrives,
just would have meant something so different, and
right.
I think it would have worked better.
He tries to write it off. He's like, "Oh, that's my secretary, and she forgot it, and I was going to give it back to her, and then she left."
Lovely taste. And if that had been underpants, better movie.
He couldn't have been
out there.
my secretary left it, and she left her underpants
that's a shit lie
at work.
Intentionally to make her suspicious, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Just making sure I was following all the nuance.
No, it's clever. But when he first picks him up, I'm like, who has a fucking handkerchief in the 1980s? So when he first picked it up, and it's silky, it's pink and silky, and I was like, that has to be underpants. I
gotta be underwear, right? Yeah.
And it's also look, it's ladies. We call them underpants because it's sexier. But he definitely I know the rip wasn't that great, so it's the fidelity. I was just like, it's pink. It looks kind of maybe it's a silky thing, and they just fucked. I have to assume it's underpants. My mind doesn't go, that's probably a handkerchief.
Right.
Yes.
And plus it's Wings Hauser.
She probably gets little boogies. She probably walks through the city and gets little boogies and has to do a wipey, and she has a little pink handkerchief and does a little wipey on her nosy. I'm not thinking that. I'm thinking that's her underpants.
But
why would a guy take a handkerchief?
Pause for a second and remember we're talking about Wings Hauser. It wouldn't have had to be crucial to the plot at all. We all would have believed it and accepted it if Wings Hauser had just stopped and stolen some underpants in the middle of a scene, and it never came up again. I'm just saying.
Is literally what I thought when it happened, and just
that is true.
Yeah.
Yes. It did.
He's a stock trader. He's a piece of shit.
It about 50% occurred to me this will never come up again. As much as half of my brain was this will never come up again, and half of my brain was oh, this is such a Chekhov's gun thing. It makes my brain sad.
Yeah.
This is so going to come up in a big way that it makes me sad for the entire production.
The first line where that happened was when Jo Beth or whatever? She says, yeah, I was in prison for 5 years. I studied computers while I was in prison. Mm-hmm. And then later on, somebody's like, I thought she was joking when she said that. And I was trying to understand how that could be a joke. But, I don't know humor.
Because our prison system is not you can barely in the 80s you could barely study. I hate to keep bringing up community college, but
why are you bashing that so much?
I know.
I went to community college. It was great.
Give 2 years to everybody for free.
I'm an advocate. I went to 2 years of community college. Tuition free.
7.
It's great. Community college is great, but what they weren't teaching in 1985 at community college was computers probably. And they definitely weren't teaching in the prison system hey, you can't watch lights out, can't watch TV.
You could learn how to operate a Gutenberg era printing press in prison in the 1980s. That was how caught up.
It's dangerous to me.
Steve Gutenberg?
Yes.
He developed a little
1985, and they're here's our Steve Gutenberg printing press. It will only make Police Academy stuff. Maybe the occasional short circuit, but it's a computer technically.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to go into the final act here, or just kind of wind this up. But I wanted to play a scene that I like, which I feel like is where Wings got to do the most wingsing, which is when he confronts his wife, or he comes home after his wife knows that he's had an affair, and she's making salsa or chili, and they have this very terse talk.
I just needed to be needed. If you want to be with Sophie.
I don't want to be with Sophie, goddammit. This isn't about Sophie. It's about you and me, lady. You understand? You and me. And I did what I did to get back at you, all right? I said it. I wanted you to feel what I felt. I wanted you to feel the same goddamn pain. And I thought maybe, Jesus Christ, I thought maybe I could get you to stop doing what you were doing.
Get me to stop?
Yeah, that's right.
Don't you ever get tired of manipulating people? Don't you know that if you wanted to know, all you had to do was ask?
Right. Now here come the tears, right?
I'm not crying, it's the onions.
You're not crying.
You know how much I like onions? And I like tomatoes. And I like
You
green
tomatoes?
peppers.
Here, got some tomatoes.
And garlic. Oh,
Christ, now what?
I cut my hand.
She would have, the way she did that, she would have like had to get stitches or like get her finger reattached. She's like chopping vegetables like with like
a plum.
Yeah, with a plum. She's like, yeah, with yes, very much. Like I don't know if that implies an artistry. I feel like she's really up and down hacking at it, like bah, 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 bah. I don't know what I'm doing.
I'm
like,
the least like
hit it with the knife.
OCD whatever person, but like the fact that she was changing ingredients without like completely wiping the board with a blade to like start fresh was driving me fucking nuts.
How did
Like,
it?
the whole
Like,
thing
was
was-
nobody else driven nuts by the fact that that giant bowl of marinara or salsa or whatever it was never hit the floor and shattered to a million
I
pieces?
know. You're right.
Everybody
She was making
waiting-
spaghetti sauce. You're right. She was.
That's what we were waiting for, though. That's
Yeah.
Chekhov's like bowl of spaghetti sauce, and it never killed anybody.
If you see a bowl of spaghetti sauce on the mantle in the first act, oh, that shit's gonna get eaten by act 3. Oh,
So there's unfurling revelations of twists and turns and people that were involved that we didn't think were involved, and etc. And a happy ending, really.
Yeah, it is. I mean, not for Wings, not for anybody else.
as much as a guy falling down an elevator shaft can be in a happy ending, it very much was.
Well,
wait, did that happen? Did I miss that?
Well, he was the trivia guy, so fuck that guy. Matthew
The
Soto.
artist guy, yeah.
Yeah.
So he went down the elevator.
So he was
shaft.
so in love with Carolyn that he was willing to kill Wings, and they had a little tete-a-tete in an open elevator shaft. And
that doesn't seem nice.
Yeah. Hey, Jack, guess who won?
Oh,
That's
it's totally Wings.
Not the artist guy's name you don't know, but Wings fucking Hauser, dude. That's what happened.
And isn't it so convenient that like everybody else had to die, like, but at the same time, and in the end, and I assume this is what the end scene meant.
Oh, it's very convenient.
He like leads his Caroline, I think again is her name. I'm not sure if that's
it is.
He's like leading her out the door, I guess, to go because you hear sirens approaching, and I guess to go confront the police. And she's obviously going to admit everything. And his insider trading deal never goes sour, and I assume he's just a millionaire now.
Yep. Well, we'll find out in Bedroom Eyes I, which is how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
So they made a TV movie called Bedroom Eyes in 2017. TV mature that says it's a thriller. A beautiful webcam seductress.
Starred in it, or?
No, a beautiful webcam seductress finds herself in the middle of a gruesome murder mystery when her voyeuristic clients start turning up dead.
See?
Is this just a spiritual successor?
I mean, if it has
in no way
voyeurism,
related.
Look, voyeurism
People
is
make-
the common thread that runs through all three of these movies. The first one, where the guy goes jogging and is a voyeur, and the second one, where Wings is a voyeur and sees his wife cheating on him, and then obviously the third one.
So that one stars.
No. Like, I feel like nobody does like a basic Google search when they name shit anymore.
No, they don't.
Like,
and it starts bands either.
That's lawyer work.
Bands just start without checking the internet.
They're like, we're not going to Google this or have a Googleable name. Like, and I don't mean to bring this off the rails, but like, I was just like looking at like Hulu Live, and it was like, this was like yesterday. It was like, oh, Final Space, and I thought it was the show that has like Melania Weintraub, who like you probably know best as the AT&T girl. But it also, this show was like a space show, and it had Eugene Cordero, and it had Joel Hodgson in it, and freaking Crow did a voice as this robot on this thing. So they did like they were in the
Crow?
show, and it did like one
Trace
season.
Beaulieu
Like,
or
Trace Beaulieu, yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, is it this? And it's like, no, it's some bullshit animated thing on Adult Swim. I'm like, what the fuck? Did you not type Final Space into Google and see if somebody had just done that? And people do that all the time. Like, if you're going to call your movie about race relations coming together, Paul Haggis, you might want to think about if there was another movie called Crash. Maybe a couple years before by a major director that
3
literally
years
like
before.
I understand why that's called Crash. It's about people getting off on car crashes. But your movie is like, oh, well, it's called Crash because, like, you know, worlds collide. Like, you could have called it fucking something else. Like,
call it Worlds Collide. Yeah.
Call Worlds Collide.
You owe me a Coke, Matt.
Like, I'm going to call my thing
buy you a
Pushing
Coke.
Daisies. Nobody's called anything Pushing Daisies, right? That's not a thing. Like, well, you might want to Google it before you commit to
Listen,
it. Like, I
maybe
just
in the
don't
film
understand
world, like, that's how you establish dominance. You know what I mean? Like, you name your – I'm going to make a movie called what's a good movie? Citizen Kane. That's it. My perfectly original movie idea. That's what it's going to be called. It's going to be about two guys who want to take a trip out to Las Vegas, and the one loses all his money, and so they have to become
And one of them is
prostitutes.
Santa. One of them is Santa Claus.
Right. The other one is Santa
That's
Claus, not the one who
Citizen
becomes a
Kane with a
prostitute,
C.
because that would
Citizen-
be weird. And
Citizen
that's Citizen
Kane
Kane.
with a C.
I love
Citizen
it.
Kane with a C, and it's Santa Claus, and he's trying to become naturalized American.
And it's really
he's like,
important
but
that
I'm
the
Santa
Santa
Claus,
Claus
and I
one
have no
isn't the prostitute
history.
one, though.
I have no history. So they're like, well, it says here, sir, you don't exist. And he's like, but I'm Santa. I'm Santa. Everyone loves me. And he's trying to become an American citizen, and it's Citizen Kane.
The pizza box all over again. We've got $1 million idea here.
Yeah.
Stop giving it away on the podcast.
Yeah. God damn it.
What's
That's for the Patreons.
What's the movie with Lee Pace that Tarsem Singh directed?
Mm-hmm.
That one is like there's a million things with the same title. The Fall. The Fall.
Yeah. There was a
It's after
band with
the
that
film.
title, too. Did they not think that well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't
Marky
matter.
Smith is rolling over in his new blue
Yeah,
duct
Marky
tape.
Smith's like, oh no, people are going to get confused. But there was like The Fall, and there's all these Italian things called The Fall, and then there was then they put
TV
like
series.
the
They
TV
could've
series
named it The Fall
with
Guy.
Gillian Anderson, right?
Yeah, which is fucking awesome.
Or Gillian Anderson. I don't know how you
Super,
say it.
super depressing.
We're not,
Right,
so we're
like that Norwegian ass thing. And
not
they're
going
like,
to
this is The
Lee
Fall.
Majors and the Fall Guy then, I guess. No.
Right, and then there's the season The Fall. That's confusing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm like, can we call it autumn? Because nothing else is called autumn, but everything's
saying
Maybe
called
pumpkin
fall.
spice season.
Yeah,
I'm
just
just
call
saying
it
it was a
pumpkin
great
spice
show.
latte.
It was a great show about a fall guy who like works as a fall guy, but he also solves crimes. And like the blonde who was his co-star was super hot, and she did that movie about the motorcycle where she does kung fu. Like, you know, we could get there.
Fall
I'm just
Guy.
saying we could get there.
Yeah.
Like, let's, you know.
Let's do it.
Okay.
That's what they call him. The fall guy is like that's what they call stuntmen. It's
Thank
like,
you.
Yeah, we need to get a fall guy over here.
Yeah.
Give
Can I
me
just
doesn't like
mention
punching
something
people,
real
it makes
quick?
his hand hurt. Yes,
that
Matt.
I'm hung up
sorry.
on before we. So remember I mentioned that there was a 2017 version that's probably not
Yeah.
related at all. Okay, so the star, her name is Pristine Edge, and she
Fake.
is already a 6-time 2016 Spank Bank Awards nominee.
I was going to say
a
that
3-time
sounds
2018
an
Spank
adult
Bank Awards
thespian
nominee,
name.
a 3-time 2019 Spank Bank Awards nominee, and a 1-time 2018 XBiz Awards nominee, and winner of the 2016 Spank Bank Technical Awards for Pint Sized Goddess. Because
Matt,
she's
I just use
5'3".
IMDb. What do you look up movies on exactly here?
I'm on IMDb.
They have Spank.
Yeah. Do you think when she accepted those awards, she was like, I just like to thank all the masturbators.
I hope so. We put a lot of work
Like,
into that.
Keep on jerking, guys. Keep on jerking it.
Well, so okay, so
Crazy.
yeah, like what is it? What did they call it? Like adult film thespians or whatever. So maybe there's another connection for that one.
Yeah.
Porn thespians. Wait,
Ooh.
what were they
Porn
called?
thespians. Yeah.
So let's do final thoughts on the film, if there's any you have left that you didn't squeeze out of your member before we go into final judgment.
Yeah.
I got nothing. I mean, it's that like my big like lingering thought that didn't have to do with anything else was that like, how did cocaine not come up?
Yeah.
Like
Now that you
that's
guys mentioned that, I'm kind of hung up on that too.
It's like a glaring omission for like you're checking all the boxes and the one you left unchecked for this movie was cocaine.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bright Lights Big City had all that cocaine and this had none.
Maybe they were trying to
Secret of My Success, Wall Street, Wolf of Wall Street. Like any of these are going to be my recommendation, pretty much.
Wait, they didn't do cocaine in Secret of My Success. That was a very wholesome movie, with the exception of
wholesome Joe.
What? Because Supergirl was in it? Okay, I'm sure there was cocaine in that movie.
No, they saved up him porking his aunt or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that was the least wholesome moment.
Right, a family movie.
But it's not blood aunt; it's his aunt by marriage.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's not that gross.
Oh, okay.
It's just emotional incest.
Who among us, okay, hasn't it? Anyway.
Yeah, I don't want to get into.
We
a
all
judgy
have a
space.
hot aunt.
However, I do want to get in the judgy space of final judgment.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
So if you're a person who says that this is cool or this is trash, I want to know why you chose that, and then if you do think it's trash, I need an antidote or something to kind of make up for this. It could be related to this film, or it could be totally random, just something you just want to recommend.
Okay, I'll kick it off. So I already gave all my recommendations basically, but I'm going to say trash. And antidote is, look, I haven't even seen Wolf of Wall Street, but I've liked all of the other Martin Scorsese's movies that I've ever seen. So, and people seem to love it. So how bad could it be? So if you want to see like Wall Street people going insane, see that. Wall Street has Michael Douglas. You could watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That's usually on TV. You could also watch...
just one antidote is totally sufficient.
Oh, no. I was going to say there's an episode of Hunter. I told you about this where I was like, Wings Hauser is in an episode of Hunter.
Episode 8 of season 1. I love it. It's
episode 8 of season 1. And he's like a cowboy hat wearing
bounty
tough
hunter
guy.
Yeah.
He's a bounty hunter. That's a good fucking episode. It's you can watch that on Hulu if you have Hulu.
And he's great at it. And I'm like, if you
good.
want
totally
Wings Hauser and you don't want to suffer through a bad rip of something, Hunter's on all the time, and like Matt said, you can get it on Hulu. So that's like my true, honest recommendation is like, and Hunter's not a great show. It should be called Hunter and McCall because, come on, let's give double billing. Like the gal's doing a lot of the work. Stephanie Kramer is doing half the work, and it's like we have Simon and Simon, we got Jake and the Fat Man. Like it should be Hunter and McCall.
Look, the billing
Silver
goes according
and
to
spoons.
pay. Okay,
Silver
she
and
made
spoons.
30% of what he made, and that's how the billing works.
Magnum and TC and Rick, you know, Knight Rider and Carr. Like
I thought Knight Rider was the car.
No, he's the Knight Rider, and the car is
He
the
rides the kit.
Knight.
No, he's the Kit Rider then.
He's Kit Rider.
You're right. They should have called it Kit Rider.
Yeah,
There's probably a porn version of that somewhere.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And David Hasselhoff probably started. Okay, circle all the way back around to Revenge of the Cheerleaders, which has a scene where David Hasselhoff dances, and it's amazing. So if you haven't seen that, go see that. That's not my final thoughts, but just we circled back around to David Hasselhoff, and I had to.
No, you have to. I've never seen Revenge of the Cheerleaders, so
It's a lot of soft porn, but also David Hasselhoff not doing any. So
that sounds good.
Yeah.
So
you
final
want
thought?
Okay, I'll do a final thought then. This it just didn't have enough Wings Hauser in it to be like great Wings Hauser movie, but I still think it was absurd enough to watch. Like I said, like you have like what looks like footage shot for an ITT Tech commercial with gothic organ music playing over it, you know, and he eats a chicken wing in a way that made me feel good. And I don't, you know, so watch this. But if you're not familiar with Wings Hauser or why people love him, I would say go watch Get Even. And if you've seen Get Even, watch Champagne and Bullets. You know, that's. But this is cool. I liked it because it was like bad enough in all ways to be entertaining. And when I say bad, I just mean like weird. So yeah, I think this is cool. I don't think it needs an antidote, but also you should watch Get Even.
I'm with Jack on this one. I walked into this one cold, doing research for a previous Wings Hauser month, and I think I was really stoned. And I started watching it and thought, okay, this is a shitty stockbroker dramedy something. And as the story unfurled, it got weirder and weirder, and I was getting higher and higher, and I was just like, this is so dark and absurd that I can't not like it. Like, it's just a really good, shitty, noirish, neo-noir, or whatever, thing. So I enjoyed it. There wasn't enough wings. I totally agree.
Yeah.
He only had a couple big scenes where he got to really emote and do wings-ish stuff, but I love neo-noir. I love film noir. I love crime stuff. So I'm sold on it. I don't like erotic thrillers per se, but
I was going to say, I love nudity, so that I'm sold on it. Sorry,
Yeah, but I totally agree with you, Jack, that if you are a person who's listened to this show and said, I have yet to delve into a Wings Hauser movie, but I'll give it a shot, and this is not the one. This is for fans only.
Completists only.
Yes. But it's cool for me as far as just a B movie, sleazy, erotic thriller, blah, blah. I totally enjoyed it. I watched it twice, and I didn't play solitaire on my phone at any moment in time. So.
And if you need more nudity, start with Bedroom Eyes 1. There's a bit more of that, yeah. But
I actually would like to. I'd like to qualify my my judgment by saying that I did have a lot of fun with this. Like, I didn't feel like it was a complete waste of my time. Somehow I had enough fun with this thing to where, sometimes I forget when I do these judgments. It's like, well, it's not supposed to be a good movie. It's like, was it fun to watch as a bad movie? And it's like, yeah, it actually was. If I could recommend it better if it was, higher quality watch in terms of like the video rip or whatever that's on YouTube. But I got past that pretty easily and was like pretty happy to kind of like go along with it and make fun with it and be surprised by little moments and stuff. So my judgment is kind of an asterisk pass, and I think the pass is because of what you're saying. So it's like we're sort of agreeing but having different judgments, because my pass is sort of like, yeah, there's other great Wings Hauser out there. So don't start with this.
Yeah,
but yeah, if you're
that the starting point is definitely not ideal, but I was never bored at any point. When it was bad, it was enjoyably bad, and when it was surprisingly compelling at times, where I was like, I was sucked into it. I was never bored.
Yeah.
So
same.
That for me is a cool.
Yeah.
Especially when the Wings Hauser's in it.
The movies that feel like a slog. Like, getting through it is just rough.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
You're bored. You're like, it's just padded out with endless driving or car chases or something like that. Whatever, and it's just doesn't move you along. If anything, that worked in this movie's favor, where it delivered way too much, way too fast, and it occasionally distracted you with some nudity, and it shifted gears so often that you didn't have a moment to get bored. I think so.
Yeah,
it worked. So
100%.
My
wife. Oh,
sorry.
Renee was falling asleep on the couch, and she would wake up occasionally. And when some crazy ass scene was happening, she's like, "What the fuck is going on?" I realized that's right. This is really fucking weird. I'm just in it, so it's not as weird, but it's fucking weird.
But if you just bounce into it, you're like, what's happening? And the only time that I never checked, Jesus Christ, how much of this is left?
Yeah, I never did once.
And I never did that, except there was one time. And I paused it, and it wasn't because I was bored. It was because so much shit happened that I was like, this is some real third act shit. I said that out loud.
To wrap this up.
So when they get him there with the ropes and stuff, and all the ladies are like, this is our plot, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, this is kind of third act shit. And I don't think we've been, we haven't been watching this.
58 minutes in.
Yeah. I was like, there's a whole 30 minutes left. I was like, wow, okay. So that's the only reason I paused to see how much time was left. I was never dulled out by it and well, fuck this, I'll just kind of have this on in the background and look at Twitter. So I guess you guys are bringing me around. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, I actually kind of like this. I wouldn't rewatch it simply because it was hard. It was kind of hard to visually watch. I got taken away by once you're into it, you're kind of used to oh, okay, I guess we watch movies on our phone now.
Here's a theory: would you rewatch it if there was more of the sidekick and his sex partner? or business partner?
No,
but more of those two.
What if I told you I had a higher quality file that you could just hold on to?
If it just looked like if I
no
was
commitments.
if I was flipping channels and this
Not
thing was
unlike
on
their relationship.
If I was flipping around channels and this thing was on Turner Classic Movies, I'd be like, oh man, okay, I'm just gonna put this on. Like,
Can we just take a moment to imagine a world where this would be on Turner Classic?
Classic Movies? Yeah, they're like they're showing like
that world.
Rebel Without a Cause, and then like you know. Marty or something, or whatever. I don't want to bring that up again, but like Rebel Without a Cause, and then like some old 1930s cowboy thing, and then this, you know, and they're like, and then like you see one of those guys like talking about like Wings Hauser made the film, like he went on to make, you know, like Wings Hauser didn't want to do cocaine, and that's why they cut the scene. You know.
He was still recovering from
film critics from Vincent Canby to so and so called it riveting, and it caught on in Canada, but it didn't catch on in the States. And Wings went on to other things like Get Even. Yeah,
that's pronounced Get Even, by the way. It's just one word. It's not two words.
Yeah, the name's Tevin. G.E. Tevin.
All right, you guys. Thank you so much for taking this bizarre cinematic journey with me.
Absolutely.
I loved being here.
My pleasure.
Yes, it was great. Maybe we'll be around for Wings' birthday in December. I'm finding it's like a twice yearly kind of thing now.
Yeah.
I'm not doing the regular show, but Wings' birthday and Wings Hauser month are good times to talk about them.
Well, I'll come back anytime for Wings Hauser. It doesn't even have to be. It could be on like a Tuesday in April for all I care.
So, Jack, if people want to check out Rogue Riffers, can you tell them a little bit about how they can find you online?
You could check them out if you wanted to. I wouldn't recommend it exactly, but
keep selling it.
We're at the show has ended. We don't do it anymore. All the shows are up though, and if you go to Rogue Riffers,
I Live Lucy's done too, so people can't watch it anymore.
Yeah, no, I mean,
cut the shit.
I'm just trying to be humble, Matt. Humble.
I know you are, and I don't appreciate it. This isn't your show.
I think it was a great show. You can go to rogueriffers.wordpress.com or whatever it is. Yeah. And go check it out. The archives are all there, all like 50 episodes. Don't start with the beginning because we really had not nailed the show. Start like episode 25 or something.
Never start with any podcast in the beginning.
Yeah. We did our fair share of Wings Hauser stuff too. So we did Blood Money. You can go check that one out. And we also posted audio commentary tracks for all the movies that you can download for free, so you can like play that over the copy of the movie and listen to us be complete idiots, and possibly not sober and whatever.
And there's some shorts that you guys riffed as well.
Yeah, it's just you can go scroll through the whole thing. Like we did it. We tried our hand at a lot of stuff, and
just spreading the honey around, man.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I happen to love doing that show. So maybe it'll come back someday. Who knows? But anyway,
I enjoyed the show as well, and it was fun briefly being in a network of psychotronic podcasts with you.
I know, right? Oh, those are the days.
Too bad you had to say the S word in some goddamn promo and blow the whole thing up.
Listen, kids need to know. No, they don't. Okay.
Joe, what about you, man? You got like do you have a site or anything going on? Gallery? Virtual?
No, I don't.
No.
It's expensive, and I don't make enough stuff to warrant doing like a yearly.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean?
No, I know.
I could do like a friggin' Squarespace or something. But I'm just,
Joe, you could plug Rogue Riffers if you want. You can plug that.
So check out Rogue Riffers. It's on cozytv.com. It's usually right after Golden Girls.
Cozy. It's a Cozy TV. It's a victim.
They don't make them anymore, but they're very good. See what else. Watch Leica movies.
Yeah, watch Leica movies.
I'm not saying I work for them or
You're
like
not saying you don't work for them.
I'm not saying I don't work for them, and I definitely don't get. I know I don't get any money. Like if more people see that shit, because if that was the case, I'd be fired after the last movie.
How would one watch these so-called Leica movies?
Oh, like
Coraline, Paranorman.
It's like Netflix or I don't know, Amazon and stuff. Like there's usually streaming service. So here the movies are
Coraline.
Right. Caroline, and what's the other one?
Great plug.
Paranorman.
At least I spelled my podcast name right.
Paranormal.
Two Strings of Ouzo.
Yeah, the Ouzo and the Two Things, and
Sasquatch Band.
Missing Drinks, I think, is the other one. It's about a Bigfoot.
So, yeah.
Oh, and I'm on
support or don't support Joe by watching or not watching these films.
Yeah, whatever they are. Maybe.
I'm on Twitter at ugdoof at ugdoof.com. That's UGGDOOF.
Ugdoof.
Ugdoof. It means like it was a friend of mine's childhood name. Like a friend of mine's friends. He's like, I grew up with these guys. And they had crazy names, and one of them was like Ugdoof. We don't know why, but we called him Ugdoof. And I'm like, can I use that for my Twitter handle? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, somebody needs to use that name. It's fucking amazing.
It is,
and
amazing.
it just sounds like a clumsy dummy, and I love it. I'm like, yes, Ugdoof. So at Ugdoof on Twitter.
Joe's on Twitter making wry, funny observations and tweeting jokes that are always good.
Oh, and go see the Minders. They have a show coming up. I'm supposed to play a few songs with them. Yeah, that's in Portland. The Minders have a new album coming out called Psychedelic Black Top. It's out in like a month, I think, but I'm not sure. We'll see.
Well, we'll put some details in the show notes. Jack, are you still on Twitter, or are you done with Twitter?
Nah, I tweet like once a year.
Yeah,
once a year.
Christmas, just Christmas, and be like,
is your Insta thing kind of a more private thing?
No, you can look at my Instagram. I mostly I take photographs, so I mostly
photography's
just post,
great.
Like, photography. Thank you.
I love photography.
Are you an Insta?
Yeah, that's Cyrano138, CYRANO138. Which
was usually where people do the photo stuff, right?
Yes. Yeah. Check Jack's photography out there. That's good stuff. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. I love it. I do love the idea of you being on Twitter just to go on every Christmas and be like, Jesus is king. Jesus is king! ! And it's
my last tweet was like about how the 4th of July fireworks shortage was not a bad thing. You know, they're not funny or anything. I posted some funny stuff. I tweeted once about how like Friday the 13th was racist because Jason pushed that black guy overboard and then just assumed he was dead.
Yeah.
You know? So like there's probably a few gems in there.
That's funny.
That was Jason Takes Manhattan one.
That was a belly laugh.
So anyway,
but most of the time you're like once a year you're like, they really ought to put a stop sign here.
Exactly. That's what it is now. So feel free to go check that out. I think it's like Road Riffers or something. I don't know.
You might want to check out Next Door.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys, thank you so much for joining me for this. I needed a good laugh after a long week.
Thanks. This was an absolute joy.
Yeah. It was great.
All right. Well, for That's Cool, That's Trash, I'm Matt Howell.
I'm Joe.
And I'm Jack.
And you folks out there, stay trashy.
That's trash.
It's garbage, folks.
Power out is my ass.